versus Smith. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Ladies, have seats, please.
Mr. Dicama, this young man is your stepson.
Yes.
I assume that this is your son. Is that right?
Yes.
How old are you?
21.
What's your first name?
Kirk?
According to you, you loaned Kirk some money. He got himself into some trouble.
Yes.
A couple of times. And you bailed him out.
Correct.
He hasn't paid you back, and he promised he would.
Correct.
The first thing Kirk says is that he did borrow the money from you, and in exchange for the money, he said he would mow your lawn for the summer, which he did.
Yes.
That was the payback.
Yes.
Right? That was his first excuse. The second excuse is that his mother told him he didn't have to pay you back. Right?
Correct.
And I can take my choice, one from column A or column B, depending upon how
Well,
it
they're
feels.
for separate things.
What was the first loan for, Mr. Dicama?
Initially, the one where he was going to mow our lawn was we bailed him out of jail, and he was going to repay us, but he couldn't. And he was going to mow our lawn for us to help to repay that loan. And he did mow our lawn one time. I mowed the lawn more than once.
Shh, don't answer.
Sorry.
Was he living with you at the time?
No, ma'am, he was not.
Was not. All right, well, tell me about this bailing him out of jail. Tell me about it.
That time was in February of 2003, and the bail was $325.
What was your offense, Kirk?
Driving on a suspended license.
What was the license suspended for?
It was suspended for an MIP.
What's an MIP?
Is a minor in possession.
Minor in possession of what?
Alcohol.
Okay. Is that the first time your license was suspended?
No, it isn't.
What was it suspended for prior to that?
For MIPs, a minor in possession of alcohol a couple times, and then for driving on a suspended while suspended.
Been arrested for anything else?
I've been arrested for, when I was a minor, for doing a gas and go.
You know, I've been a judge for a very long time. I'm pretty familiar with the penal law. I never heard of a gas and go.
Well, I went to a gas station and I stole gas, and then I left without paying for it.
So you stole gas?
Yes.
Safe to say, Kirk, you don't abide by the rules.
I try to. I've made some poor
but
mistakes.
You've made a lot of mistakes.
Yes, I have.
Okay. So, $325 was the first bail.
Yes.
And is that what he was supposed to pay back by mowing the lawn?
Yes.
And how many times do you say you mowed the lawn?
I mowed it at least a couple of times, and plus it
At
was,
least a couple. Well,
it
couple
was for more than just the 300. It was for my probation fines that were also with that, and plus for another fee that I'd gotten for counseling.
Fine. $325, and what were the probation fines?
I'm not 100% sure, but I think it was somewhere around $280.
Okay, $280.
And then the counseling classes were about $350.
$955. Okay. So, right?
That's right.
So, stepfather says you mowed the lawn once. You say I mowed the lawn at least a couple of times. So what you're telling me is, how much property do you have, Mr. Dicama?
It's approximately half an acre.
So you think that you're worth almost $500 a mow for half an acre? Kirk, is that what you're telling me? Doesn't that sound stupid to you?
It does sound stupid.
It sounds,
but
no, not, it does sound stupid. Well, I'm glad you at least say it does sound stupid. Because according to your stepfather, let's say you took your stepfather's figure of $325, and if you mowed the lawn twice, according to you, that's $160 a mow. That's even high for half an acre, wouldn't you say?
Yes.
But it's not $500 a mow for half an acre. So you see, what I'm trying to get across to you, Kirk, is if you think that you're going to second guess the answers to these questions, don't do it.
I'm not just second guessing.
Yes, you are, sir.
Okay.
Because I just made you look very foolish, which wasn't your intention, I assume.
No.
Is this your girlfriend?
Yes.
So I assume you don't want to look like a fool in front of your girlfriend. Did he just look foolish?
I suppose.
You wouldn't think he's worth $500 to mow half an acre, would you?
I don't have a half an acre.
You know what half an acre looks like?
Yes.
You think that that's a lot of money to mow half an acre?
Yeah. Might be a
Yeah,
little too
unless he cuts it with the tweezers. When he only mowed the lawn once, did you say to him, hey, Kirk, the deal was you're supposed to mow the lawn for the summer?
I never see him. So, I mean, I came home from work, the lawn was mowed, and that was it. And he rarely ever talks to me. We never have contact, and he hasn't spoken to me in quite some time. So, no, I did not get the opportunity to do that.
Step up. What about you? Did you call your son and say to your son you were supposed to come over and mow the lawn?
That was originally for the $325. He had made a payment of like $100, I think, originally on that.
You gave him $100.
Yes.
Kirk, when you make a partial payment, that's evidence of a loan. Do you know that? I just taught you a piece of law. What's next?
For the next time, we had to pay court fines and court fees of, well, there were several. There was $918 to the 59th District Court. There was $200.
What is that? Was that for?
That was, he was either going to go to jail or we paid $918 to keep him out of jail.
Was that a different time, Kirk?
It was for the driving on a suspended.
Well,
That's
you
the
had
only
several
violation
of,
they bailed me out of jail for.
You had several of those, according to you.
Yes, I have had several, but that was the only one that they've bailed me out of jail for, the only time they've bailed me out of jail for anything.
Well, that's $918
And I'm
was court
deeply
costs.
under the impression, because in Zealand, the police I had got pulled over, and a police officer said that I was told on by Mr. and Mrs. Bell for driving on a suspended license. And so I was under the impression that my mother is the one who's told on me for driving on a suspended and got me the bail fines, and I've been under the impression that she bailed me out of feeling sorry. And it's not something I've brought up to her because, you know, I don't...
Just a minute. So what you think is that your mother notified the police that you were driving on I'm speaking.
Yes, ma'am.
That you were driving on a suspended license because you were driving on a suspended license for the second time. And that you believe that the reason she bailed you out of jail was because she felt guilty about having told the police that you were breaking the law. Is that what you're telling me? I just want to make sure that that's what you're telling me.
Yes, Your Honor, but...
All right.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Sorry, I mistakenly said the wrong person.
You make a lot of mistakes, Kirk.
Yeah, I do.
Where are you working now?
I work at the New Holland Brewery.
Oh.
And later today,
Was she with her husband or not with her husband?
Yes, for a few months, I guess, before he went to prison.
What'd they do, let you out by mistake?
Yes.
It's not a mistake now, is it?
No.
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. David Diekema says his stepson, Kirk Smith, owes for loans to bail him out of jail. Kirk says his mother forgave the loan.
How much did you lend him altogether?
Altogether, it was $3,476.
And how much did he pay back?
$1,150.
Okay, Kirk, you got 30 seconds to convince me that you don't owe your stepfather $2,326. And your time starts right now.
Well, I feel that, you know...
Forget mowing the lawn.
I've forgotten about it. They haven't been, you know, done much for me, and this time that they helped me out, they told me, it wasn't my mom that told me I didn't have to pick up, it was Dave. He said, you know, don't worry about it, you know, get yourself on track and all that kind of stuff. And that is why I feel that I don't owe that.
I did tell him at one time that he did not have to worry about making timely payments because he could not make the payments, and that it was okay if we stretched it out beyond the original time that we set up, he and I agreed upon.
Which was what time?
We agreed upon 1 year to pay this money back, and so there were several times where he could not make any payments to me, and I said that that was okay, we'll just stretch the loan out longer, but that did not mean that he did not have to pay that
You did
money
not
back.
forgive the loan, you just gave him additional time to pay it.
That is correct.
Did you ever tell your son he didn't have to pay back the money?
No.
No, it was Dave that told me that.
Well, that's not what you say in your answer. In your answer you say it was your mother.
Well, because earlier you asked me and you said that my mom told me it was Dave, and I mistakenly said the wrong person. I'm correcting myself now. It was Dave that had told me that, and he did say that.
You make a lot of mistakes, Kirk.
Yeah, I do.
Where are you working now?
I work at the New Holland Brewery.
Oh. Yeah, all these people think that that's very funny. I mean, it's rude of them, but there is a certain honesty about it that is inescapable. You owe your stepfather $2,326. Take care of your responsibilities. You're 21 years old?
Yes.
Stop making mistakes. You're getting too old to make mistakes.
Yeah, I know.
And I would suggest that you stop making mistakes, too. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
I would like to see us move forward and be able to look beyond this.
I've never really, gotten to know him to begin with.
Hopefully everybody can learn that this was a lesson and forgive.
The police officer in Zeeland had told me that somebody had called the cops and he made inclination on who it was.
Just hope he learns from it, that's all.
I can't really say there's been much of a relationship to begin with, so.
I hope that we can have a relationship in the future.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Landers versus Lowry, step forward.
Forklift operator Daryl Landers is suing his ex-neighbor, Rochelle Lowry, for an unpaid loan for tires and lost wages. Rochelle is countersuing for assault and harassment.
Mr. Landers, it is your claim that you made a loan to the defendant during the time when she was separated from her husband. I assume this is your husband?
Yes, ma'am.
The loan was for tires for her car. You want that money back.
Yes.
You say that you gave her other monies, you paid for other things during the course of your brief relationship. You don't want that money back because that was a gift, but the tires clearly a loan.
Yes, ma'am.
Miss Lowry says that the tires as well were a gift from you. There was never any discussion of repayment for the tires. And she has a counterclaim because she says that you became both abusive and assaultive when she reconciled with her husband, and she has a whole litany of things that you allegedly did to her. How did you meet her?
Met her, she moved into the apartment, it was a fourplex. She moved into an apartment right below me, not right below me, but kitty corner below me.
Okay.
So they lived
and
there
when she moved into the apartment complex, was she with her husband or not with her husband?
Yes, for a few months, I guess, before he went to prison.
And when did he go to prison?
Imagine a year ago, not sure the
Give me
exact
the
date.
month. When did he go to prison?
April?
April of 2003?
Yes, ma'am.
And how long was he incarcerated?
He got out of prison, was it April this year?
January 8th.
And when did you begin a relationship with Miss Lowry?
Sometime around June of
A couple of months
2003,
later.
I guess, yes, ma'am.
Tell me how that started.
We just wound up, working in the yard together and all that, gardening and all that. I helped her out with some, stuff she needed done, and just wound up. She was going to get divorced because he was gone for 5 years. And
When was the loan for tires?
her mother-in-law's car broke down about 30 miles from the residence.
Mother-in-law's, did you
Yes.
say?
The tires were so bad, one was blown completely and the other one had treads sticking out of it.
Okay. When was that, sir?
February of 2004.
Well, you got out of jail in January, you said. Is that right?
Yes.
Did you go home?
I was back in jail, I think it was January
Okay, so you were back in jail.
17th, yes.
What'd they do, let you out by mistake?
Yes.
Yes, Your Honor, they did.
It's not a mistake now, is it?
No.
Okay, so she's on her way back from someplace. So what happened?
The next day, me and her stepfather went to go retrieve the car, so I put a spare on it, drove it with the one, real bald tire, about 5 miles to a tires place, put tires on it, drove it back home.
What did she say to you and what did you say to her that caused you to go back with her relative to get the car?
That she would pay me if I bought the tire. She would pay me as soon as she got her check, which is on the 3rd, and this was like February 29th, so I said, okay. So I charged it on my charge card. And then when it came time to pay me, she skipped town.
How much were the tires?
$107, I believe. I have the receipt right here in my credit card statement.
Can I see them, please?
Yes. I have pictures of the car also if you want to see it with the tires.
No.
Okay.
Well, but you're suing her for much more than that, sir.
It was for, I was told I could do it for wages for the days I missed for going to court. My day's wages.
No, you can't.
Okay, so then I guess you have to drop the day's wages.
$107.08. Okay, so I'll hear you.
Your Honor, Daryl did buy the tires for my mother-in-law's car. There was never no agreement on paying him back.
How did he get to the car in the first place?
With my stepfather.
And that was in February?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you remember it was the beginning of February or the end of February?
It was towards the end of February.
And when did your husband get out of prison after they put him back and then
He
fixed
got
it up?
out at the end of March, beginning of April.
And where's the car now?
It's my mother-in-law's car. It's in the home with her in Wisconsin.
You don't drive it?
No, ma'am.
Were you driving it then in February?
Yes, ma'am.
And you were driving it in March?
The first part of March, yes.
Now tell me about your counterclaim.
I'm countersuing him for the damage he did to my house, to the apartment that I rented. I did not get my deposit back. Part of my deposit, I moved simply because of the fact that he was harassing me, stalking my daughter. I have a 22-month-old baby. Your Honor, I have pictures. I had a garden in the backyard. He dug up all my flowers. He dug up my rose bushes.
Did you see him do that?
Yes. He also kicked in my front
Just a
door.
second. Let's start. Did you dig up a garden?
No, ma'am.
Did you have to pay for that?
I paid for the flowers, not the part that he dug it up. No.
Okay. What else?
I don't know if he punched or kicked. I was inside of my living room, my front door. It was a big hole this size. I didn't get half my deposit back because of that.
When?
Also. That's right before I moved, the end of February.
Tell me about it.
I was inside of my house. This happened every day, Your Honor. He would call me.
Just tell me what happened at the end of February.
I was inside of my house with my daughter, and he was banging on the door and banging on the door. Let me
What
in,
did
you
he
owe me
say?
money.
Oh,
That-
just let me in, you owe
Can I
me
say it on
money.
TV?
Shh, just a second. Let me in, you owe me money.
With,
And what did you say to him?
I said, Daryl, you're drinking. You're not coming in my house. No. Quit calling me. Quit coming over here.
So he wanted his money. And you already told him that you weren't going to see him anymore.
I told him to stay away from the house, yes.
Okay.
I was very scared of him.
Okay. When did you start to get scared of him?
After I seen through him, my husband kept warning me.
Just a second. When did you start to get scared of him?
Very scared of him.
No, let's say a little bit scared of him.
The beginning of the year,
Beginning of January.
before he even bought the tires.
So why did you let him buy the tires?
I didn't have any other choice. I was a
Sure you
single
did.
mom. I was sick. I had no money.
Why'd you get a job?
I'm disabled, Your Honor.
What's the matter with you?
I have Wegener's vasculitis.
What does that mean?
It's like a form of cancer. It attacks my heart, my lungs, and my kidneys.
And when were you diagnosed with that illness?
1994.
It seems to me you can do everything else except work. You can have a husband, you can have a house, you can take care of your house, you can take care of a garden, you can drive all over Wisconsin. What you can't do is work. That's peculiar. He wants $107 for the tires. You went back to your husband. Give him the $107. Okay? You got it? Good. Counterclaims dismissed. That's all.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Parties are. Yeah, this is case number 145 on the calendar in the matter of Barr versus Baum.
Thank you.
You're welcome, Judge. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated. Folks, have a seat, please.
Mr. Barr, you and the defendant worked together, and according to your complaint, you had an argument with him, and during the course of that argument, he assaulted you, he punched you. You want to be compensated.
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Baum said it is true that you did have an argument. However, you were the one who was the first to use your hands, and he just reacted. So he was really acting in self-defense, which is your claim.
Yes.
How old are you?
20.
And you, sir?
28.
Where do you work?
For a sub shop.
How long have you worked there?
4 months. At this particular restaurant.
How long have you worked for the company?
3 years.
And you manage this restaurant?
Yes, ma'am. General manager.
And Mr. Baum, how long did you work at this particular restaurant?
Worked there for about 2 months.
2 months.
Yes, ma'am.
And Mr. Barr was your boss?
Yes.
Okay. What kind of work did you do there?
Sandwich artist. Sandwich artist.
Sandwich artist.
I made the sandwiches.
Sandwich artist. When did this argument take place?
5/22 of this year.
What time?
I'd say about 1:30.
1:30 is lunchtime, so you must have been busy.
Real busy.
Real busy. So tell me what happened, Mr. Barr.
Being the manager, I usually generally don't work on the weekends, but seeing as I had hired...
Listen to me. What I want you to do is, I want you to look at me when you're testifying. I don't want you to look over there. I don't want you to look over there. I don't want you to look. I want you to look at me. And I want you to answer my question, which is, what happened on May 22nd, 2004, at approximately 1:30 in the afternoon?
I went back to the restaurant, and I made a beeline toward Chris, which was a new employee.
You went back to the restaurant, which I assume meant that you left the restaurant at some point.
Yes.
When had you arrived at the restaurant?
Open, 8 o'clock in the morning.
And what time did you leave?
About 10:30 to go make the bank deposit for the earnings for the day before.
And what time did you return?
About 12:30.
Took you 2 hours to make a deposit?
I was doing personal matters. I wasn't scheduled to work that day.
Okay. So you got back at 12:30. And when you got back at 12:30, what happened?
I had asked Chris how the day was going. It was his first day. I'd asked him how
First day.
as working as an employee for the store.
You're Chris.
Yes, ma'am.
Step up. So you said to Chris, that's you, raise your hand. You said to Chris, who was a new employee?
Mm-hmm.
This gentleman was a
Yes.
new employee. You said, how are things going?
Exactly. How you liking it? Are you picking things up? Is Nick and the other girl showing you stuff?
Okay. And Chris said?
Nothing positive toward Nick. They're not getting along. Nick's telling me he's not doing stuff right. He's ready to walk out.
You mean Chris is ready to leave?
Chris is ready to walk out. Nick's having an attitude. And earlier that morning, I observed Nick having an attitude toward customers. I knew there was something on his chest. I figured it would just shake it off as the day went on. But obviously it didn't. It progressed.
So what happened next?
I asked the other girl who was working there, what has she seen? Well, what's going on?
I don't want you to tell me what she said.
Exactly. Well, anyway, I asked another staff member what they thought of the situation. They shook their head, walked away. They didn't want no part of any of the nonsense. I had then started to walk up to the register. I noticed that Nick was being rudely toward an elderly lady he was cashing out. I asked Nick
what was he saying to her?
Just the tone in the voice, not a typical friendly restaurant attitude that you'd want someone to have at this particular establishment. We uptalk friendly, courteous, smile.
So he was being short?
To say the least.
Okay. Well, I have to envision what you're saying, sir, because you're not being more articulate. You want to try to explain better what you observed with regard to this elderly
Just
woman?
his body language and his tone of his voice.
Okay. So, what happened next?
I asked him to leave the restaurant. I said, Nick, please leave. Get out. I wasn't firing him. I just wanted him out the restaurant that day. Obviously, there was something bothering him that day. He was causing friction among the other staff members. He was also being short with the customers, having an attitude. I thought it was the best business decision for the establishment to remove Nick from operations that particular day.
And at that time, he had been working for the place for about 4 months?
Yes, ma'am.
And had you had trouble with him before?
No.
So this was an unusual occurrence?
That's what I was telling you. Something was obviously bothering him that day.
Okay, good. So you told him to leave. Good
Exactly.
idea. What happened?
I continued to cash somebody out. Just as I closed the cash register door, turned my back, he punches me in the mouth. Didn't see it coming. It was over my shoulder. It was a sucker punch. He drilled me in the mouth pretty hard. He began to start to swing other hands at me. I was able to block him. Eventually, somehow we got into a stance, wrestled. My first instance was to get him away from the glass, away from the knives, away from the customers, because meanwhile, the line's out the door. There's all these people in the establishment, and this is what they're seeing. They're seeing Nick attacking the manager. I got Nick out into the lobby. I led up. As I led him up, I had blood going down. I went like this, tried to get my bearings straight. What's going on? Why am I bleeding? And next thing you know, Nick and Chris were running down the street like two little girls.
Okay.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
What happened after you pushed him in the back?
He turned around and scratched me like a girl.
Well, didn't you report it to the police, sir?
I'm a felon. I'm not going to get arrested for someone fighting with me.
What kind of felony?
2 criminal mischief and 2 grand theft.
And later today,
You say because she breached the agreement, I should be able to use these songs for my own purposes in the future.
He can't do that. That's my melody.
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Sandwich store manager Craig Barr says former employee Nick Baum punched him in the mouth at work. Nick says Craig slapped his hand.
What kind of injury did you suffer, Mr. Barr?
I was treated at the emergency room for 4 stitches inside and outside of my lip. It seems to be that when he hit me, my teeth went through my bottom lip.
You had 4 stitches. In
4 stitches, and I need to go back for plastic laser surgery upon once all the scar tissue settles, and then they can see exactly how they can make this to be not a permanent injury.
Okay, who is this?
This is a witness. Her name's Shannon. She was there that day.
All right, Mr. Baum, I'd like you can sit down. I'd like you to tell me your version of the events. You were having a bad day. Why were you having a bad day, Mr. Baum?
Because Christopher Struss was not up to date on his job. He wasn't doing it properly.
But he was a new employee, Mr. Baum.
I know. That's the whole thing. You know, friends can't work together.
So he was your friend?
Yes, we are friends. Before that, the whole thing, we had picked him up from Port Charlotte to bring him in.
So you got him the job?
It was his idea for the job.
But he didn't know Chris, did he?
Yes, he did.
You knew Chris from before?
I knew him from the streets.
You told him about Chris?
Exactly.
Well, I didn't tell him that he needed a job. He come over to stay the weekend.
At your house?
At his house. I was living with him.
Oh.
That's not necessarily true, Your Honor.
Yes, it is.
Just a second. Mr. Baum was living at your house?
I wouldn't say that. He was staying there. He was kicked out of his previous residence for his hostile attitude toward the people he was staying with.
Okay. Just a minute.
And
He was staying at your house?
I guess so.
I still have his house key.
Take your hands out of your pockets. He was staying at your house, and Chris was staying at your house?
He had asked to stay for the weekend.
Okay, fine. So now he's back at the shop, Mr. Baum. So now tell me what happened with Mr. Barr.
When he had come in, me and Christopher confronted him about what we were talking about, him not doing his job right. He didn't want to hear it. He ignored it. He walked straight up and down the line. Then come to me while I'm proceeding to help a customer. Not no old woman, a gentleman. He then smacked my hand, pushed in front of me, told me to get the hell out.
How did he do that, sir?
I'm standing here at
just
the
a second.
register.
Chris, stand up over there. You're standing next to the register.
Say this is me. This is me. He's on the register helping a customer.
No, no, no. Who's on the register?
Myself.
You're on the register.
Say he's me.
He's playing you.
Yes.
Listen to me. He's you. He's at the register now.
And I'm Mr. Barr.
And you're Mr. Barr. So make like you're at the register.
He come up, smack my hand.
Oh, show me how he did that. Okay, he pushed your hand away.
No, he hit it. He hit it hard with force.
And he said, get out. He didn't ask him to
I didn't ask you anything. You went like this. Pushed your hand up.
And then squeezed in front of me between the register as I'm helping.
Okay. And then what happened, sir?
I pushed him, stepped back.
How did you put? No, show me how you pushed him. Okay, so you pushed him from the back.
And then...
And the shot. I did. Do you hear? I didn't ask you a thing. And then what happened after you pushed him in the back?
He turned around and scratched me like a girl.
How did he scratch you?
From the left top corner of my forehead across to my bottom right eye.
With his nails?
Nails and all. I still got a faint scar.
Well, didn't you report it to the police, sir?
Nope.
Why not?
So I'm a felon. I'm not going to get arrested for someone fighting with me.
What do you mean you're a felon?
I have felony on my record.
What kind of felony?
4 felonies of 3rd degree, 2 criminal mischief, and 2 grand theft.
Criminal mischief is usually not a felony, sir.
When its damages consisted over $500.
What kind of damages, sir?
Damages of property.
And you left?
I left. After. But now, see, we're skipping a large part here. After he scratched me, I then hit him. He fell down. He's like, oh, we're supposed to be boys. I then went to walk out. He grabbed me by my leg. I fell over. He tried to get on top of me. I threw him on the wall and walked out.
Do we have any photographs, sir, of the damage to your leg?
I got photographs and all the necessary paperwork. I also have a claim number from the Largo Police Department. They wouldn't release the actual police report because they're a little slow in their paperwork and it's not public record yet. Your Honor, just for the record.
Step up, madam. Tell me your name.
I'm Shannon Levantia.
Levantia?
17-year-old girlfriend. I apologize.
Miss Levantia, what capacity you were at the restaurant on the 22nd of May, 2004?
I was there getting a sandwich.
Tell me what happened with regard to any hitting, slapping.
All that I had seen was Nicholas hit Craig. I didn't see Craig swing on Nick at all. Then they wrestled out into the lobby, and that's all I had seen.
Is it possible, Nick, that you were disrespectful or less than courteous towards customers on that day?
We had 20 customers in that line.
I'm just asking you a question.
I was being straightforward with them to get them in and out. I was not trying to spend any time with them. I was not in any way uncourteous
listen
with
to
them.
me very carefully, sir. I didn't ask you for excuses. I said, is it possible that you were being less than courteous to the customers who were there?
Not with the customers, no.
Okay. When was your last arrest, Nick?
November 23rd, 2002.
Did you spend any time in jail?
9 months.
When did you get out?
It was actually 215 days. That'd be June 26, 2003.
And when did you go to work for Mr. Barr?
I can't recall what the actual date was.
What date did he start working for you?
Middle of April. He had worked at another restaurant.
How long do you know him, Mr. Barr?
From the original store.
Only from the original store through business?
Yes, ma'am.
So you gave him an opportunity?
I gave him a second chance to come back into the company.
Is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
And what happened at your last job, Nick?
I walked out on him.
Why?
I didn't like his work, and I was paid too little.
And despite that, Mr. Barr gave you another opportunity to...
More money, yeah.
So he evidently liked you.
Yeah, because I was good at what I did.
So I'm trying to think of why Mr. Barr, who was a perfectly nice guy...
No.
Who gave you... to you...
No, he wasn't. Not exactly.
He wasn't. Well, according to you, he was.
There was a lot of confrontations up to the point where I wound up living with him.
You say goodbye. You're a big guy. You spend 9 months in prison. You know what it's like to have to fend off people and take care of yourself and be responsible for your own safety, right? You know all about that. So if somebody is being not nice to you, big boy, pack up and you leave. You chose not to do that. So I don't want to hear that Mr. Barr
That choice was not an option until the end. There was no real...
What do you mean a choice was not an option? You mean you were an indentured servant?
That's not
We
what
don't
I'm
have
trying to
indentured
say.
servitude in this
You're
country anymore, sir. You have free will, which means if somebody isn't nice to you, you leave. Nick, I don't believe you. I don't believe you. I believe that maybe he knocked your hand off the cash register. That doesn't justify punching him in the face, causing him to have 4 stitches and a permanent scar on his lip, which are reflected in here. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $2,500. That's all. Step out. Step out.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
No comment.
I wasn't really at fault. He put his hands on me. What can I say? You know, if I knew it was going to be like this, I would have hit him more than once.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Jones versus Dunson. Step forward, please.
School teacher Cheryl Jones is suing studio owner David Dunson for a refund for a children's recording session. Cheryl says David never finished the job.
Looks like we got a lot of show and tell here, but let me see if I can simplify this. Ms. Jones, you hired Mr. Dunston for the agreed-upon price of $1,000.
Correct.
To create musical arrangements for children's songs and to use his recording studio in order to record those songs.
Right.
You paid him, according to you, a total of $650.
Right.
Towards the $1,000. Those songs, according to you, that were never completed because he kept moving the studios. Mr. Dunston says that he wants to be able to use that music because he's never been fully paid. Is that right?
Correct.
You say, well, I paid him $650 and I can't use the music and record it because he has the copyright.
We
right?
agreed upon $650 as the agreement. We changed the agreement because he continued to move and he wasn't doing a professional job. So $650 was the new agreement just to use the tracks.
Well, but what you're suing for here before me is your $650 back.
Right.
You want your money back because you didn't get what you bargained for, right?
That's correct.
He wants to be able to record the music because he's copyrighted it already, correct?
I did not.
No.
You've copyrighted the music already.
They're copywritten through my machine when she comes
I
in
don't
and
care
posts.
whether they're copywritten through a machine. She can't do it without your permission, and you have already executed something through a machine so that you have this music copyrighted, according to you.
No, Your Honor.
You don't have copyrights to the music?
No, there's no copyrights with the Congress. The copyrights is when she comes into the studio and it records the date and time when she comes in and recorded her music. It copyrights it then. And then when we finish the song, she takes it and we sign the agreement for her personally, exclusively to use the copyrights.
Have you done that yet?
No, ma'am.
Good. Do you want to record this music for any other purpose? According to you, you do.
Yes.
You say...
Those are
Shut up!
I'm sorry.
You say, because she breached the agreement, I should be able to use these songs for my own purposes in the future.
Yes, ma'am.
He can't do that. That's my melody.
Well,
he cannot use that with my melody. I sang those songs to him. He created the music around me singing it. That's my melody. He can't use that.
You're suing him for $650 back. I'm going to give you your $650 back. You didn't get what you bargained for. That's all I have to do. Do you understand that, sir? She didn't get what she bargained for. You have to give her back her money. Now, whether you can use these songs or she can use these songs, I don't have to deal with it. She's suing for $650, and you didn't give her a complete track of children's music.
I gave her all 12, Your Honor.
And she's... No. You say here she breached the agreement, and I should be able to use those songs if I want to. Maybe you can, and maybe you can't. I don't have to go there. That's what you say in your defense, sir. So she gets her $650 back. You can hum, he can hum, and I can go home. Thank you.
Yeah, this is case number 87 on the calendar in the matter of Wilcox versus Caruso. And look, we have visual aids.
Visual aids.
Visual aids.
Would you tell everybody to sit down, please?
Oh, yeah, have a seat. Thanks for reminding me.
Officer Byrd, we have a case here of 2 young ladies involved in a case of road rage. You don't have anything to do with this case other than you own this car that she was driving.
I'm my father.
But you don't know anything about it.
No, nothing.
So you can sit behind the visual aid over there.
Sure.
Usually we have guys involved in road rage. You know, they get all those hormones and stuff they have all juiced up. Anyway, Ms. Wilcox, it is your claim that the defendant in an act of road rage caused an accident which caused your car to be damaged.
Yeah.
She says that you were the one responsible for this unfortunate incident that happened on the highway, or were it not for your actions, the accident would not have taken place. So first, why don't you tell me when this incident happened and where you were going?
On the morning of February 12th, 2004, I was on my way to work.
What time?
At about 9:20, between 9:20 and 9:30.
What time do you do at work?
10 o'clock.
What kind of work do you do?
I'm a paralegal.
What kind of car were you driving?
A Nissan Sentra.
What year?
2002.
And you have a current valid driver's license and did at the time of the incident?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, tell me what happened.
On the morning of February 12th, I was on my way to work. I was traveling southbound on Nob Hill Road, which Nob Hill Road, if you enter the left lane, it turns onto the expressway, which is State Road 84. We consider it to be I-595.
Which is your car?
I'm number 2. Mrs. Knight was number 1. As we entered on the expressway, I proceeded over into the center lane. As this lane ends, if you stay in this lane, you'll end up getting back off the expressway. Ms. Knight was upset that as we went to get on the expressway, I entered in front of her to get on the expressway. She was behind me yelling obscenities, acting like she was going to bump the back of my car.
So maybe you cut her off?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Your Honor, absolutely. Shh. Shh. Maybe you cut her off?
Yes.
And she was angry?
Yes.
Go ahead.
We entered on the expressway. I proceeded into the center lane. Mrs. Knight came around me from the center lane to make her way into the third lane, where she hit that vehicle, knocked her into the median. She then came around me. As she came around me, she gave me her middle finger, as to say, you know, what the middle finger means. She came around me. She then bumped the front of me to cut me off and knock me out of my lane. She knocked my car spun out of control over here, and then back over here where I landed into the path of the first car that she knocked out, which is vehicle 3. She continued east on State Road 84, where 2 cars had to follow her to bring her back.
Not your car?
No. I was knocked off into the median. As she came back yelling, she came back cursing.
Okay, stop. Going to pick it up in a second.
Okay.
Let's go.
Okay, Your Honor. Actually, there's no way possible that I could have proceeded 3 lanes over, because at 9:30 in the morning on 595, it's a major highway.
No, don't tell me what's impossible.
I have a picture here
just
to show you. Okay, so the accurate is, she was in front of me, like she said. I'm here, smashing her brakes on, flicking me off as I waved and killed her with kindness, because my mom always taught me, you kill people with kindness. Don't feed into them. So I didn't. I tried to get over another lane and just chose right here. She got in front of me again, smashing on her brakes on a major highway, flicking me off as I'm laughing at her, because it was kind of comical to me. I was on my way to work as well. I did get over into the third lane because we still had the on-ramp lane. And as I did, I passed her. And when I passed her, I looked right at her and said, yeah, baby, you ain't in front of me anymore. I enjoyed that because, you know what, she can't smash her brakes in front of me anymore. So I'm not going to rear-end someone and be at fault. So I proceeded to pass her. As I proceeded to pass her, she sped up and tried to cut in front of me. She couldn't, because my car had a little more power, I had a Ford Taurus, and it did pass her. As I passed her, she tried to push me into this lane. I couldn't go because there was a BMW truck. I did not hit that BMW truck. It is not in the accident report. That BMW truck had to go into the side of the highway here to avoid me hitting her, because it was a near miss, like it says right here. At that point, I decided to stay in this lane. That's when she continued to come in this lane, swiped the back end of my car here, which, due to her, driving ability, spun her out into a NASCAR scene, which spun her out uncontrollable until she sideswiped the front end of the BMW truck, which ended them both up, her in the middle median grass area. I had no choice, because there was so much traffic still by us, to exit off, stop and call 911, which I did, and it's in the 911 report. At that point, by the time you exit, go through a shopping center, and get back on the highway, It takes a couple minutes. I then got back on the highway this way, met at the accident in the median, and her hands were going all up in the air how I was wrong. Like I said, my mom told me to
May
kill
I
him
see
with
the
kindness.
police report, please?
I have the police report right here.
I'd like to see it.
And Your Honor, she did hit the first car.
Just a second. Did you speak to the police
Yes, I
officer?
did.
And you spoke to the police officer. Did the driver of the BMW speak to the police
Yes,
officer?
they spoke to each of us separately.
Okay, that's what it suggests here. Now, after the police officer questioned the plaintiff and the driver of the BMW, you were issued a citation for careless driving. And I'm going to quote what the police officer wrote in the police report, which says exactly what she says happened. That you were driving fast. It said that vehicle number 3 was traveling on the inside lane, that vehicle number 3 was knocked off the road because of your driving, that you went over from one lane all the way over to the other lane. That's not the way we drive.
Excuse me, Your Honor. That vehicle that is the witness of vehicle number 3 did not, they were on the highway prior to us entering the highway, so she did not see the reason why I was driving exactly.
I don't know what she saw or not. All I know is you came onto the highway and you proceeded, because your car, according to this, was going faster than her car, to go all the way over into the far left lane. That's what this says you were doing. You were in a big hurry.
To avoid someone from smashing their brakes on.
Madam, I do not believe you. I do not believe that this woman got in front of you and then smashed her brakes on so that you would hit her in the rear. She doesn't look like a psychotic to me. Let me see your damages, please.
This is my damage. This is the estimate from her insurance company, and this is my pictures of my car as well.
It's clear that she hit your car.
Yes, ma'am. 2 witnesses had to bring her back, and they both came back to the scene to let the police know that they wanted to make sure that she was coming back.
Okay, the objective things that I have are a police report, which is totally consistent with the plaintiff's story. I have pictures which clearly indicate to me that something hit her car, not that her car hit something else, which is totally consistent with this version of events. And I have a story that suggests to me that you were traveling too fast, that you wanted to get over into the fast lane, and not only did you almost cause an accident with another car, because you were going fast enough, and according to you, that road is very heavily traveled.
Yeah, absolutely.
And you could not possibly have gone from the far right lane to the far left lane.
Especially
But you
on high
did.
speed. I did.
But you did, because you cut off the BMW.
The BMW collided
All
with her
right.
car.
All right. You lost your temper. You acted like a fool, and you shouldn't have.
I waved at her and smiled.
You acted like a fool. Did you have insurance?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. What was your deductible?
It's $500.
Okay. So you're really looking for the $500 deductible.
Well, no, because in the state of Florida, we're not required to carry comp and collision. At the time, I did not carry comp and collision.
You did not?
No, ma'am.
Why didn't you carry collision?
At the time, it wasn't on my policy. I had a policy under my mother, and at the time, it just wasn't. We did not know.
Is the car fully paid for?
No, ma'am.
Well, if it's not fully paid for, you have to carry collision.
Yes, you do. In the state of Florida, it is required.
Just a second. We understand each other?
Yes, ma'am.
If you don't have a car that's fully paid for, you are required to carry collision insurance. So you're going to send to me a copy of your insurance policy that was in existence on the car at the time of this accident in February. Now, did you have your car fixed?
No, ma'am.
Why not?
I just haven't had it to pay for it yet. I'm still paying a car note. I just haven't had it to pay the damages.
Okay, this is what we're going to do, Ms. Wilcox. I believe that the defendant is responsible for your damage to your car. And either your out-of-pocket expenses are $500,
Yes, ma'am.
or they are $4,300. And I'm going to defer that judgment until you furnish me with the insurance policy that was in effect in February of 2004 when this accident happened. Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, judgment for the plaintiff, that's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
I did not hit her car. That's why my car had no damage.
She had a white car. My car is blue. I had white paint on my car. So how would she not have damage?
Miss Wilcox's hands were all up in the air, freaking out, yelling and road raging.
Mrs. Knight was totally upset that I got in front of her.
I just laughed and killed her with kindness.
She gave me the finger. She came back yelling.
I'm glad it's over with and done and taken care of.
Oh, God, it's just a lesson learned. I know there are crazy people out on the world that don't need to be driving, and I'm happy that justice was served today.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of DeLong versus Bryant. Step forward, please.
Retail auditor Darlene Dottie DeLong is suing her ex-boyfriend, painting contractor John Bryant, for his share of the trip to North Carolina. John says he was out of work, so Dottie picked up the tab.
Mr. Long, Mr. Bryant and you were involved in a relationship, and according to your complaint, he wanted to travel from where the two of you were living to his hometown. There was some problem with his daughter and other things, but the problem was he didn't have any money. So you made an arrangement with him whereby you would put everything on your credit card and he would pay you back that money within a certain period of time. And he hasn't paid you back, and you're no longer involved in a relationship. Mr. Bryant said there was never a loan. He just wanted to go back to his hometown, meet his friends and family. There was never any agreement to reimburse you for any of the expenses. Is that right, sir?
That's true.
Okay. How long were you involved with Mr. Bryant before you decided to accompany him to his hometown?
Approximately a couple months.
Couple of months?
Couple of months.
You were not living together, you were just seeing him?
He stayed at the house and I stayed at his house.
And where were you living at the time?
In Indian River.
Indian River is where?
Michigan.
And where is your hometown, sir?
Afton, Michigan, just the next town over from Indian River.
So this is the trip that you made?
No, we went to North Carolina.
Oh, well, that's what I want to know. You went to North Carolina?
Yes.
From Michigan. And
Yes,
how
we
long
did.
did that take you?
We were gone for 4 days. The ride down's about a 13 to 14-hour ride.
When did you travel there?
A couple days before the Super Bowl.
What prompted you to go?
Her wanting to go down, meet my children, my friends. We were sitting in the bar one night. It was during the playoffs, and I would call my friends in North Carolina, and we'd root back and forth about how the Panthers were going to the Super Bowl. And she said, "Wouldn't it be nice if we went down and watched the game with your friends?" And, you know, yeah, sure, it would be great, but I told her that I wasn't working, I didn't have the money, and I thought it would be ridiculous for us to do that because I couldn't afford it.
Why weren't you working?
It was wintertime in northern Michigan, and I'm a paint contractor, and things are real slow in the wintertime up there.
Okay. And she said what to you?
She said that she would love to pay for us to go down, do that for me, so we could see my kids, she could meet my kids and my family, my friends.
And that's what you did?
Yes, she was very
Okay.
persistent. Yeah.
Good.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
If a man wants to spend whatever money he doesn't have in buying drugs, that should have been your first clue that this
Exactly.
was not a good idea.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Dottie DeLong claims ex-boyfriend John Bryant owes for a trip to North Carolina. Dottie says John wanted to visit his troubled daughter.
Okay. Now I'll hear your version of the events, Mr. Long.
We went to North Carolina.
No, before you went to North Carolina.
I don't know what you want to know. We were dating and his daughter was in trouble.
Well, tell me about that.
Okay, his daughter was in trouble. He wanted to go see his daughter. She was going into a girl's home, running out in the middle of the night, sneaking in and out of her house.
Is that what he told you?
Yes, I have phone bills to prove he was calling there.
All right. So tell me about the trip to North Carolina.
We went to North Carolina. He left me at his friend's house, went over and visited his daughter a couple times. We went to the school to visit his daughter. And the other time we were at the Super Bowl party at his friend's house.
I didn't hear about any loan, madam.
I paid for all the gas on the way down on my credit cards, which I have the receipts of his signature.
Yes.
And he told me that if I paid for it, when he got back to work, he'd reimburse me.
When did you expect him to get back to work?
When the weather broke up there. March, April.
And when is the Super Bowl?
January.
End of January.
End of January.
Sorry.
Just telling you.
I loaned him money, a $50 loan at one point. Not sure if you want me to tell you about that loan.
No, don't
It was
ask him.
drugs, so he could buy a bag of pot.
Yes.
He did reimburse me for that.
When did he reimburse?
He did reimburse me for that. Are you saying I'm lying? Are you saying I'm lying?
Ma'am. Yes. Talk to the judge.
Thank you. Okay, so what you're telling me, Mr. Long, is when he borrowed money from you for marijuana, he paid you back.
Yes, he did.
So when he considers it a loan, he pays you back. Is that what you're telling me?
He gave me that back because I pursued it. He went to work a couple times and got paid. And I said, can I get some money from you for what you owe me? Because I have none. And he says, this is what I got that I can afford. I know I owe you more, but I can't give it to you right now.
When
and I
is
have
that?
witnesses to that.
Oh, I'll hear you witness. Step up. Tell me your name.
Brenda Santor.
And how are you related to these people?
Darlene is my cousin.
Okay. Tell me about where you were when you overheard Mr. Bryant acknowledging a debt to the plaintiff.
I was in her living room. He just gotten out of the shower. He was sitting in the chair, and he handed Darlene a $100 bill, said that this is part of the money that I owe you, that he was going to make good on the money for the trip.
I don't believe what you just said. Just a minute. I don't believe what you just said.
Well,
you're making that up as you're going.
No.
I believe that you may have seen him hand him 100. Listen to me, Brenda.
Ma'am?
I believe you when you said that you saw him hand her a $100 bill. That might make sense, that he got out of a shower and he handed her a $100 bill. I don't believe you when you said that you heard him say, I know that I owe you money for the trip and I'm going to give it back. Because somebody who just gets out of a shower and is sitting around in a towel doesn't talk about, here's $100 and I know I owe you more money for the trip and I'm going to pay you back. That's what you want me to believe you heard?
No, ma'am.
Okay.
When he was sitting in the chair in the living room, we were standing right there in the doorway. And when he handed Darlene the money, he said that he would make good on the money he owes her.
Oh, just a second. Just a second.
Well, the
just
money
a second.
that he owes her was for the trip. So.
Sit down.
Okay.
Anything else you want to tell me?
I have phone bills here that show that his daughter was in trouble, that he had made from my house.
So?
Why would I want to go to see his daughter in trouble?
No, I don't think you wanted to go and see his daughter who was in trouble. I think that you wanted to solidify your relationship and you wanted to go meet his friends. You knew he had no money, so you paid for the trip. Whatever the trip was, gas money, motel money. It was a social endeavor. You paid for it. You anticipated a long-term relationship. You didn't have one. Stop complaining. Write it off. It was a bad debt.
Your Honor?
What?
I'm the one that asked Jack to leave.
That may be, and you may have had good reason for that, madam, because if a man doesn't have any money and he wants to spend whatever money he doesn't have in buying drugs, that should have been your first clue that this was not a good idea. Do you understand?
Yeah.
Very good. I wouldn't have traveled with him from here to over where that light switch is, but you chose to do that, pay for it. It was a foolish thing to do. Don't do it again. Goodbye.
Please excuse. 95 on the calendar in the matter of Schmitz versus Mather.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Judge Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated.
Well, folks, I must tell you that I have been involved in the sale of property over the course of my lifetime, and this is one of the dumbest contracts that I have ever seen. And why three seemingly intelligent people would enter into such a ridiculous agreement is beyond me. And why the attorneys who represented you in the sale of this cabin would allow you to enter into this agreement. Maybe it's because you're young, but you're not that young. So this is what it's about, Bert. Listen, careful attention.
Got it.
Miss Schmitz had a cabin that she was very fond of. It was a vacation cabin. However, as fond as she was of the cabin, she decided to sell it. And she sold it to Mr. and Mrs. Mather, a lovely young couple who wanted a vacation place. Where is this cabin located?
Sasheen Lake, Washington.
Beautiful, on a lake. However, Miss Schmitz wasn't prepared to totally let go of this cabin, so she maintained, through a letter of intent with the Mathers, an agreement that twice a year she was going to be able to use the cabin for a week each. Once Memorial Day, where she had a big party every year, and once during the summer. These folks agreed to that condition. Now, the first week she used the cabin, according to her, everything was okay.
Yes.
But when she was planning the second weekend, Mr. and Mrs. Mather were having second thoughts already about this agreement. So they sort of, according to her, made it unpleasant. They didn't give her the key to the cabin. They said, we're not giving you a key. We'll unlock it, and when you leave, you lock it. Which sort of, to her, made her a prisoner in the cabin because she couldn't leave for the whole week. She was afraid the cabin would be unlocked and unattended to. And then she found her stuff piled up because she sold the cabin furnished. Anyway, because of what she considered a breach of their contract, she hired an attorney to sort of get involved. So she is suing them now because she wants the attorney's fees that she expended to sort of make sure this weekend took place. And then when she went there, you flew there, is that right?
Yes, it's over 300 miles from where I live.
So did you fly, is my question.
Yes.
To make a long story short, she didn't stay. So she wants them to pay for her airfare and for some stuff of hers that she says was missing from the cabin. I don't know what could be missing since you sold it. I don't understand that. Mr. and Mrs. Mather say, well, they really weren't thrilled with her coming for the second weekend because they had heard via neighbors about the previous weekend, but they never told her that she couldn't come, and that when she was there previously, she broke some things, she took some things, and also for lawyers' fees because they had to get their lawyer involved to talk to her lawyer about this alleged breach of contract for the second week vacation. Did I sort of outline it pretty well?
Pretty good. Yes, perfect.
Whose idea was this sale with tentacles?
Laura's.
Your Honor, it was my idea because I was giving up thousands of dollars in a prepayment penalty so that they could get their own financing.
You bought the cabin when?
In '94.
And you bought
a 20-year contract.
Which said?
$1,000 for every year and partial year that you end the contract, and it was an assumable contract.
Just a second. You're talking about a mortgage?
Correct, a contract.
Oh, just a second. It's not a contract. You're talking about you had a mortgage. That was an assumable mortgage.
With a prepayment penalty.
Oh, now I understand. We're talking apples and oranges.
I'm glad you
understand. All right. She had an assumable mortgage, but if they wanted to pay off the mortgage, if she wanted to pay off the mortgage early, there was a penalty. If she got somebody to assume her mortgage on the cabin, then there wasn't a penalty. And you did or did not assume the mortgage?
We didn't assume the mortgage.
You didn't assume the mortgage so that it cost you $10,000 extra in your way of thinking to sell it to these people.
Yes, Your Honor.
Well, let me tell you this, Ms. Schmitz, that's a skewed way of thinking because all you have to do is find another prospective buyer who'd pay you an additional $10,000. But what you don't do is say, well, I'm going to sell it to you, but I want to be able to use it twice a year for free, forever, because that's dumb.
Thank you.
Right?
Yes.
It's not the last cabin in the world.
No.
So, how long have you been married?
8 years.
8 years, yeah.
How difficult is marriage?
It's hard.
What?
It's a lot of work.
And you love him.
Yes.
Right? You don't love her.
No.
You just signed on to be married to her
I know.
forever.
That's right.
And our family warned us and warned us. I know.
Family.
My mom. I know. She knew.
You don't love her. She's a stranger. You don't know if she's a nut. You don't know what her friends are like. You don't know if she's a slob. You don't know, whatever. And you have married her for as long as you have that cabin. And I don't even know if this provision of 2 weeks goes with the sale of the cabin, does it?
No, it was a side.
So, now, I'm really going to try to help you. What's it going to take, Miss Schmitz, to let them out of this stupid deal?
Well, she told me on this...
What is it going to take, Miss Schmitz, to let them out of this stupid deal?
I would like to be paid for the money that I lost.
$4,000?
No, a lot more than $4,000. And today is not about the prepayment penalty.
Just a second. Who do you live with?
Myself.
You have to find something else to do with the next 5 years of your life other than sue these people. Because the contract that you entered into was dumb. The prepayment penalty for your mortgage had absolutely nothing to do with selling them this property with this 2-week provision. It's dumb, and you should finish it today. And you should allow me to help you. I'm prepared to help you. If you don't want me to help you, I don't think you're going to like the judgment today. Do we understand each other?
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
If I offered them the use of my home, does that also negate that offer?
Absolutely.
Thank you.
We don't want to use her home.
It's over.
And later today,
I just kind of figured the whole thing was a wash. It was easier just to get out of each other's lives and move on.
You expect me to accept that, sir? And you think that I am not going to humiliate you in front of 10 million people?
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Laura Schmidt says Cody and Brandy Mather owe for breach of contract regarding the sale of a weekend cabin.
You have to find another purpose for living other than this cabin. You have to let it go. Now, if it's going to cost $4,000 to let them out of this ridiculousness, it will give you the opportunity to spend the next 4 years someplace else, $1,000 a week, celebrating your birthday, Memorial Day, or whatever else you want to celebrate. But you have to let them out of this ridiculous bargain, because otherwise what they're going to do is, as much as they love the cabin, they're going to sell it to somebody, maybe even a relative, to get out from under this ridiculous commitment that they made. So it's my job to try to reduce the amount of litigious behavior we have in this country, not expand it. So I am prepared to help you, Ms. Schmitz. Do you want me to help you?
Yes.
Now I'm going to ask you again. How much is it going to cost to let them out of this ridiculous contract?
Your Honor, I'm out $4,000 in addition to the thousands I paid in the prepayment penalty.
They're not responsible for your prepayment penalty. That's your bag. You could have said to the realtor, one of the conditions of a purchaser is someone who is going to assume my mortgage so it won't cost me an additional $10,000. How much did you pay for the property, Ms. Schmitz?
$62,094.
How much did you sell it for?
$131.
So that's not bad, and you had the use and enjoyment of it, and you doubled your money. And even if you say, well, you had a prepayment penalty on your mortgage, take off $10,000, $121. So you doubled your money in 10 years. That's pretty good, right? So I'm going to ask you again, what is it going to cost to let these people out of this ridiculous contract that you both entered into?
Your Honor, I wasn't prepared to talk about the prepayment penalty.
I just talked about the prepayment penalty. Did I make sense to you?
Yes.
You think it's going to make more sense to retain a lawyer, sue them, continue to sue them, because the lawyer's going to charge you money. I would charge you money at the rate of $500 an hour. So, and a lot more aggravation. So all I'm telling you is you have to find a life other than suing these people. It's over. And I am prepared to help you. I would take me up on my offer.
I will.
Good. So let's go again. How much is it going to cost to let them out of this ridiculous contract? Then I'm going to ask them if they're prepared for it.
Since the maximum I'm allowed to ask for of the $15,000 is $4,000, I guess that's the maximum I can receive.
Well, I'm going to let you amend your complaint to ask for $5 because that's the jurisdictional limit of this court.
Thank you.
Now I'm going to come to you. Ms. Schmitz is prepared to have me enter an order that says, upon the payment of $5,000, that she will declare null and void the requirement that she use the house for 2 weeks a year, and then you will both withdraw these claims. What do you think?
I agree.
That sounds good.
Sounds great.
Very smart.
Now we are.
Okay. You have a copy of the letter of intent that forms the basis of your lawsuit? You prepared to withdraw at this point your counterclaim?
We do.
It's going to be a very simple order that I will sign, you will sign. So I'm going to ask you to wait outside. Bird will call you. Yes.
Your Honor, in good faith, I offered them the use of my home. Does that also negate that offer?
Absolutely.
Thank you.
We don't want to use her home.
Absolutely. You don't want to use your home. You don't use their home. Go. Goodbye. Have a happy life. Good luck.
Thank you.
You may step out.
She stole things from our cabin. She possibly messed with our water. Our kids got sick.
I just felt very anxious that they weren't being truthful with me.
She's had these wild, crazy parties, 40 to 60 people. I mean, it just drunken mess with cops called out.
It absolutely fell apart this spring when they refused to let me have it as they agreed upon at closing.
We fell in love with this cabin, and we knew it would be perfect for our family, and we made a really stupid decision.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Doyle versus Peterson. Step forward.
Carolyn Doyle is suing her ex-boyfriend, Matthew Peterson, for a loan to fix his teeth. Matthew says he helped Carolyn fix her house.
Miss Doyle, you used to live with this gentleman. How long did you live with him?
Matthew and I started dating July 4th of 1999, and he lived with myself and my children off and on for a total of about 2 years. 1 year, then moved out, then moved back in for a year, then moved back out.
And during that time, which we'll pinpoint better later, you claim that without your authorization, he forged your name as a co-signer to a loan for some dental work that he wanted.
I don't know if he ever signed my name. He did open an account and took out a dental loan using my Social Security number, and it shows up on my credit record as
Okay, but you never signed it.
No, I did not.
Well, so somebody signed your name to it.
I never saw the documents, Your Honor. Okay.
I assume he has the documents somewhere in his pocket. In any event, he didn't pay the loan?
Correct.
And it's negatively impacted on your credit?
Correct.
You no longer are together, and you want him to pay the bill?
Correct.
Smile pretty, Mr. Peterson. What was wrong with your teeth?
2 porcelain crowns in my front teeth, and both of them were fractured. And
So it was cosmetic work.
more or less, without them, though, I just have 2 posts there,
Not attractive, but clearly you can live that way.
I suppose.
Now, when did you want to replace these 2 porcelain crowns?
I was living with it cracked for probably about a year or so, and then in the process of chewing gum, it completely broke off one afternoon, and I was left with just the post that goes under the crown, my real tooth, and it was somewhat of an emergency at that point. You know, the following morning, the dentist squeezed me in, and
Now, were you and Miss Doyle living together at the time?
no.
Were you still seeing each other
Yes.
exclusively?
Yes.
Any reason why you weren't living together?
We lived together when I owned my condo, and I wanted to flip that into a single-family home because I have 3 kids, and I wanted him to have a nice home with a backyard in a neighborhood, and he didn't agree with my decision to sell the condo. I was buying it on my own. He wasn't buying it with me, but he disagreed with my decision to sell the condo and buy the house. So when I
Well,
sold...
just my own curiosity, why?
I think he thought things were fine the way they were, and so why move?
Okay, so that's when he moved out, but you still continued to see each other.
Correct.
So now the dentist squeezes you in August.
Yes, ma'am.
I'm listening.
Okay, I went to the dentist's office in the morning upon looking at the other front tooth that was fractured as well, so they said, we have to take care of both of them. I couldn't cover it on such short notice, so they said, well, you can go ahead and apply for this in-house credit we have here, which I did, was denied. They said, do you have a cosigner? At that point, I called Carolyn from the office, and she said, yeah, here's my number, here's the Social Security number, and I'll be back. You know, I'll have to go down there and actually sign the document at a later date, which I don't know if that ever happened or not. And they proceeded with the work, and that was it.
Why didn't you pay the bill?
I was making monthly payments.
Now you're looking at your shoes.
I made the first couple payments, and then I came late on one. She said, I can't have this affecting my credit with you making late payments. And then she said, let me just pay off the whole loan, and you can just pay me. And then when we ultimately ended up breaking up, walked out, and that was the end of that. And I had done considerable amounts of work on her house, remodeling, fixing it up,
Which
paintings.
I paid him for.
Just a second. Please don't interrupt.
I'm sorry.
And I just kind of figured the whole thing was a wash. It was easier just to get out of each other's lives and move on.
So you mean you stuck Miss Doyle, who is a single parent, raising 3 children, with bills for your cosmetic dentistry? I mean, you expect me to accept that, sir? And you think that I am not going to humiliate you in front of 10 million people? Go ahead.
Upon our last conversation when I left, I was served with papers days later, so there was never any opportunity to discuss any kind of payment plan. She never asked me for the money.
Why should she have to ask you for anything? How old are you?
32.
You work?
Yes, ma'am.
You have children?
No.
So whatever work you do, you just manage to take care of yourself,
Correct.
right? Now, what about Miss Doyle? Does she work?
Yes, she does.
And she takes care of 3 children?
Yes, she does.
And she runs a house? Let me ask you a question. When you were living in the house, did she have household help?
No. Myself?
Did she have... Yeah, I know how helpful you are. Did she have household help?
No.
Who did the laundry?
She did.
Who cleaned the bathrooms?
She did.
Who had a full-time job?
She did.
Who had 3 children?
She does.
Who had 2 cracked porcelain crowns?
That's me.
Are you embarrassed?
When you lay it out like that, yes, I am.
Well, if your mother didn't lay it out for you like that, I'm going to lay it out for you like that. How much was your dental work?
All said and done, approximately $2,700.
How much of that did you pay?
About $300.
What kind of car do you drive?
Ford truck,
What year?
2000.
Were you making payments on it in 2004?
Yes.
Were you paying rent in 2004?
Yes.
You get where I'm going?
Yes, I do.
Peterson. Anything else you want to say?
I'd like to add just the extent of the work I did around her house. It was a verbal agreement.
Let me ask you a question, Mr. Peterson. I just asked you a few questions. When you were living together, did you take a shower?
Yes.
Who cleaned the bathroom?
She did.
When you were living together, did you change your underwear at least every other day?
Yes, ma'am.
Who did the laundry?
She did.
You get
Not
my,
exclusively.
You get my drift?
I get your drift.
I won't even go into other more intimate details, sir, but I can almost guarantee you this. Believe me, you got the better end of the bargain. She knows what I mean. So do most of the other women. You owe her $2,400. Pay it. Thank you. That's all.
Parties are excused. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Ma'am, have a seat, please.
Ms. Thomas, your lawsuit contains two parts. First, the defendant, who was your ex-boyfriend, you claim assaulted you in July of last year. Is that right?
That's correct.
And you want several $1,000s as a result of that assault. Then you claim that a month later you let him borrow your car and he totaled it and it's impounded or something, and you can't get a driver's license until you pay the impound fees and towing fees. So you want him to take care of those fees as a result of totaling your car.
That's correct.
So let's deal with the assault first.
Okay.
Were you living together at the time of this assault?
We were.
And how long had you been living together?
About 1.5 to 2 years.
And tell me your version of the events surrounding the assault.
Well, we moved out here. We got here in April from Delaware, and we hadn't been getting along like you should be getting along in a relationship. So things were difficult. And on July 21st, we had a really big argument. There was a party happening that weekend, and we were all going to go. And I stood in the doorway as he was trying to leave. And
You were arguing at the time?
Yeah, we were arguing.
Verbally?
Verbally arguing, yelling, slamming doors. I slammed a door.
So he said, I want out of here, and started to leave?
No, he didn't start to leave. We were downstairs and we were talking about it because at first...
Okay, but you said you stood in the doorway, so he wanted to leave.
At that time, and I didn't let him leave by standing in the doorway.
Why were you preventing him from leaving if things were getting too hot?
Because I didn't want to be fighting with him, and I wanted to talk about why we were fighting. It was all little things. I don't even know why we were fighting at the time.
All right, so you're blocking the door.
Right.
And what happened?
He picked me up and threw me, and then he kicked and punched me.
That's a lie, Your Honor.
Just a second.
He
picked you up and threw you where?
Well, I was standing in the doorway. He was standing in front of me to leave. So he picked me up and threw me behind where there was a roll of carpet laying because the basement was being remodeled.
Okay.
And I landed on my would have been right side from standing here to being behind to laying
Okay,
on
so
this
you landed
side.
on your right side.
Right. And so I had bruises here and here on my thigh.
Yes.
He kicked and punched me about 3 times per
Where did he
limb.
punch you?
In my, what's this, my forearm?
The same place that you fell?
Right. I was on the floor and he came and he kicked and he punched me.
Did you seek medical treatment?
Yes, I did.
I'd like to see the report.
This is a letter from my psychologist.
I'm not interested in the letter from your psychologist. If you sought medical treatment as a result of your injuries, you have a report from either an emergency room or
I didn't
from a
go
doctor.
to the emergency room. I called 911.
Do you have a police report?
They did not give me a police report. And this is what I have that I called 911. I didn't tell 911 that he kicked and punched me at the time.
Of course you didn't.
Because he
Because
was
he didn't.
He was on probation
Because
for
he
Delaware.
didn't.
And I have a picture of my leg that is bruised from him kicking and punching me that he didn't do. I also have a protection order that I filed as a result of
Miss
this.
Thomas, I want to ask you a question, madam. He's trying to get out of a situation. I see a mark on your leg.
That's a bruise from a kick.
Maybe. He said you tripped over carpet, but there's no question that he was trying to get out of that situation. Let's go further for a second, Miss Thomas. After this alleged brutality, you continued to live together.
If I can explain.
Just answer my question.
Yes, we continued to
live together. On what date did you lend him your car?
I lent him my car September 15th.
Okay, so
Few
you lived
months
together for at
afterwards.
least 2 months after
Right.
this incident occurred.
I didn't want anything to do with him, and he begged. He said we could go to therapy together and get help for this problem that he had, and that we could work it out because he wanted to spend eternity with me.
Okay, Ms.
And
Thomas,
so,
listen to me. You claim that he assaulted you, brutalized you. You did not report the fact that he brutalized you to the police.
no, because he was on probation. I didn't want him to get in trouble. I just wanted him out of my life. In fact, the day after
All he was trying to do was leave the house.
I packed all of his things for him, even.
Just a second. He wanted to leave. You were arguing. He wanted to leave. By the way, did you go to that party that weekend?
Me? No, he did. And when he got back, all of his clothes were packed and tarped on the porch so he could get out of my life.
Fine. So that was the 3rd week in July.
July 22nd, when he came home.
Okay, so all of his stuff was packed.
Yes.
Did you leave?
No, ma'am, I did not leave.
All right. Now, you want to tell me your version of the events of the 21st of July?
It started off in the morning. I knew that there was a party, and Janine and I had been getting along like sort of like an ocean, up and down. And The morning was pretty nice, and I asked her if she wanted to go to this party with me. And then I don't know what happened throughout the day. We got to arguing. The arguing just got worse and worse and worse. It just got to the point where I didn't want to be there anymore. You know, the situation wasn't what it should have been. And I said, you know what? It's time for me to leave. I need to go. She stood in the doorway, wouldn't allow me
What did she
to
say
leave.
when she stood in the doorway?
She's like, no, you're going to stay here and we're going to talk about this. We're going to make something right. And we'd been arguing for at least an hour. And it didn't seem to me like that we were getting anywhere. We were just butting heads. So I walked toward her, and she had her hands on the door frame, and I sort of pushed through her. There was a roll of carpeting because the basement was being remodeled, and it stuck about this far out into the doorway. And when I pushed through the doorway, Miss Thomas started to fall back.
When you pushed through the doorway, and you pushed her,
Yes,
you
ma'am.
had to have pushed her,
Yes,
even
ma'am.
according to you. You didn't push the doorway. She was standing in front of the doorway, so you pushed her, and she tripped over the carpet?
She tripped over the carpet, yes. As she
Did
tripped
you-
over the carpet, she grabbed my shoulders and pulled me on top of her.
Okay, and what did you do next?
I struggled to get up, ma'am. And then when Lorraine's boyfriend, Dennis, came to the top of the stairs, he screamed down the stairs, "You two better quit." Janine let go of me, and I was able to leave the basement.
And you left?
And I left.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Janine Thomas says, during an argument, ex-boyfriend Arthur Kelly kicked and punched her. Arthur says Janine wouldn't let him leave their home, so he pushed her out of the way.
Oh, you packed his stuff, put it under a tarp, July 22nd, but he did not leave.
No, he wanted to work it out.
So he stayed at least until September 15th.
Actually, it was about August 1st. I picked him up from a ferry after I got off work. And I was feeling really low because we only get about 5 days of summer in Seattle. And it was a real sunny day, and I wanted to wear a nice spring outfit to work. And I put it on, and when I put it on, I had my bruises hanging out of my clothes. And to go to work like that, somebody would have been like, "What happened to you?" And I didn't want to have to explain to people at work my problems at home. So I had to change clothes. So that was on my mind all day. And when I picked him up from the ferry, he asked me what was wrong, and I said, "You really don't want to know what's wrong because you think I'm full of negativity." And he's like, he pulled it out of me. I said, "Art," I said, "these bruises are on my body still from when you kicked and punched me. And I couldn't wear certain clothes today because of these bruises. I'd have to explain them." And he said, "I'm finished with you. I'm moving out. I'm done. I've had it with this ridiculousness." And so that's when he moved out, 2 weeks after the assault.
So how did he get possession of your truck?
Because he was in the Air National Guard, and he gave me the, "Why, let's try to be friends." We didn't work out as boyfriend and girlfriend. I was in therapy. And he also was going to be in anger management therapy from his probation in Delaware. So let's be friends and try to get over this. So I agreed, and we tried to be friends. He would come over to the house, and then he had guard duty on the 15th and 16th of September, and he had no vehicle to get there. And I'm a nice person, and he asked me if he could borrow my car. And I said yes. I said, "But if anything happens to my car, I'm working 2 jobs to get caught up from our move. You have to fix it if anything happens." And he said, "Okay."
Okay, so what happened to the car, Mr. Kelly?
I stayed the night at the house that night and got up in the morning. Went to the gas station and filled the gas tank with fuel, and I proceeded to head toward work. And I was going down a hill and noticed a red light. And the last thing I remember was hitting the brake, and then I woke up in the guardrail.
What time was this in the morning?
This was 6:15 a.m.
So what did you do with the car?
A tow truck came, and the tow truck towed it off to a storage yard.
So what is your out-of-pocket expense?
Well, they're billing me right now, the last bill from November with the 12% interest was $1,647.34.
Why didn't you take care of the car right away, Mr. Kelly?
Why didn't I take care of the car, ma'am?
That was my question, Mr. Kelly.
Yeah,
You were
yes, ma'am.
driving the car.
I understand that. Well, the car almost killed me. I didn't feel that it was, you know, my
How
responsibility.
do I know that?
Well, I have a report from the hospital at the Army Medical Center, and it states that asphyxiation was the cause of
Let me see.
this, and
How much did you pay for this car, Miss Thomas?
$500. When I told him, I said, you know, after he totaled it, I picked him up. I told him he was glad he was okay. And I said, but the only thing I ask of you is that you replace it with a comparable car. I don't care what kind of car it is, as long as it's run and it's registered.
Sir, let me tell you what happened. You reported to the doctor, patient, that's you, having just filled up the gas tank, known exhaust leak into car. Does that mean that you knew that there was an exhaust leak?
Yes, ma'am, I knew that.
Oh, so if you knew that you were taking a car that had an exhaust leak, who do you expect to be responsible for that?
I didn't know that it was going to knock me out.
How do I know that? How did she know that?
I drove it.
Just a second. How did she know that? Mr. Kelly,
Yes, ma'am.
you told the doctor that you know that this car that you just filled up with gas has an exhaust leak, and you smelled a strong odor of gasoline.
Yes, ma'am.
So you took the car as you knew it to exist. It existed as far as you were concerned, and it had an exhaust leak. And if it almost killed you, so you die, you die. You didn't die. You just damaged her car, and you have to pay for it. It's not as if she kept something a secret.
He helped me buy the car.
I don't care whether he helped you buy
I
it or not,
suggest
Miss
she
Thomas.
shouldn't buy the car.
She shouldn't have bought it,
Yeah.
and you shouldn't have borrowed it. But if you borrowed it and you wrecked it, you got to pay for it. Another thing, Mr. Kelly, what kind of anger management classes were you going to as a result of probation that you were on previously?
I went to a 10-week session with a counselor on Vashon Island.
And that was a result of a prior incident in
Yes,
what
ma'am.
state?
In Delaware.
And who was involved in that incident?
That would have been a boss that I worked for. Her and her husband were in the midst of a
That was
divorce.
a boss. It was not the plaintiff.
No, it was not the plaintiff.
And what were you charged with there?
I was charged with disorderly conduct.
You pled guilty to disorderly conduct.
Yes, ma'am.
You weren't charged with
Okay.
disorderly conduct. Mr. Kelly, I'm 10 steps ahead of you, sir. You pled guilty to disorderly conduct. You were charged with...
I was charged with nothing. I had probation.
No. Mr. Kelly, you're not a dumb man,
Oh,
are you?
my charges, okay. Initially, it was possession of paraphernalia and disorderly conduct, ma'am.
No assault?
No assault.
What kind of paraphernalia, sir?
A pipe that I'd used for tobacco that
Pipe
was
that you
given
used
to
for
me.
tobacco.
That was given to me by the woman that...
I don't care, sir. And I don't believe that you were charged with a discon. I believe that you probably pled guilty to a disorderly conduct, but I don't believe that was the charge, Mr. Kelly. You want to think about it again, sir? What were you charged with regard to this boss?
I don't understand your question, ma'am.
The question was, what were you charged with?
My charges, ma'am, were disorderly conduct and possession of paraphernalia.
Tell me about the incident, Mr. Kelly.
The incident was the police had been at the frame shop where I worked, and the bosses were having this not-so-nice divorce. One boss, she was in the frame shop the day I was working, and the police had already been there, and they explained to her not to take anything that wasn't solely hers. And she was taking stuff, and I explained to her that she shouldn't be doing this.
Right.
And
Go
we had
ahead.
an argument,
And you had an argument, just a verbal argument.
a verbal argument.
You had a verbal argument, and as a result of that verbal argument, you had to go to anger management classes.
Yes, ma'am.
I better stay out of Delaware. All right, Mr. Kelly, I'm not holding you responsible for this incident that occurred on the 21st of July for several reasons. First of all, I do believe that you were trying to extricate yourself from a potentially volatile argument. The fact that Ms. Thomas exercised poor judgment in keeping you hostage there, which is exactly what she did. She prevented you from leaving, and if she got pushed aside and fell over carpet, that's what happened. I'm not convinced that you actually bludgeoned her with your fists, because I'm looking at one photograph that she gave me, and there is a bruise on her upper thigh, which is also consistent with falling over something, which you both agree she did. In any event, subsequent to that, you still maintained a relationship. So, but for the fact of this automobile that you totaled, she would not be here today. But I am addressing the accident that you had, that you are totally responsible for. You took the vehicle, fully understanding that it may have a malfunctioning condition that was dangerous. According to you, it did. I don't know if that was the cause of the accident. At least that's what you reported to the medical people when you were brought into the hospital. You chose to exercise control over the vehicle under those circumstances, and you should have taken care of the car. You didn't. It's going to cost you $2,147, which is the cost of the towing plus interest, as well as the cost of the car. Judgment for the plaintiff in that amount. That's all.
Parties are excused. Miss, step out.
He picked me up, threw me behind, and then had to walk to me to do what he did.
Never before has a car rendered me unconscious.
I was asking her, do I tell him what he did? Because he's on probation. What do I do? You're his friend. What do I do?
She's just aggravated my life.
If somebody ever hits me again, that
Oh, yeah. 911 will know about it.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of St. Aubin versus Williams. Step forward, please.
49-year-old administrative assistant Donna St. Aubin is suing 27-year-old billing clerk Artia Williams. Donna says Artia's 9-year-old son punched her granddaughter in the mouth, knocking a tooth loose.
Miss St. Aubin, this is your granddaughter.
Yes, ma'am.
Your name is Ariel? Step up here, Ariel. And Miss Williams, this is your son.
Yes, ma'am.
Your name is?
Shantae.
Shantae, you step up here with your mom. All right. Ariel, you and Shantae were at daycare together. Is that right? And you were sort of messing around with each other.
Yes, ma'am.
How were you messing around with each other?
We were throwing erasers.
At each other?
Mm-hmm.
And based upon what I read here, one of the workers came over and told you to stop. And then you threw one last eraser at Ashante?
Yes, ma'am.
After the worker had told you to stop.
Yes, ma'am.
And when you threw that last eraser at him, it hit him where?
On the head.
And then he came over to you and he...
Hit her.
You hit her. Where did you hit her?
In her mouth.
And as a result of that, a baby tooth became loose. And you are suing Miss Williams because of her son hitting your granddaughter for $4,500.
Oh, it started with both the daycare and the mother.
Well, you're not going to get a penny from Miss Williams. This is going to be a very fast case. Okay. Your granddaughter hit him in the head with an eraser after she was told to stop. So she assaulted him with an eraser. And he retaliated by hitting her in the mouth. Why is that a lawsuit? Because she got hurt and he didn't?
No.
Well, why?
Because the daycare worker told me that he started it, and then she threw it back, and then he come back. When she threw it back, he come back with the fist.
No. Your granddaughter just told me that they were messing around with each other, throwing erasers. The daycare worker told him to stop. He stopped. She didn't.
Right.
She hit him in the head. He hit her in the mouth. Case is over. Your case is dismissed. Goodbye.
7 on the calendar in the matter of Wilcox versus Caruso. And look, we have visual aids.
Visual aids?
Visual aids.
Would you tell everybody to sit down, please?
Oh, yeah, have a seat. Thanks for reminding me.
Officer Byrd, we have a case here of 2 young ladies involved in a case of road rage. You don't have anything to do with this case other than you own this car that she was driving.
And my father.
But you don't know anything about it.
No, nothing.
So you can sit behind the visual aid over there.
Sure.
Usually we have guys involved in road rage. You know, they get all those hormones and stuff they have all juiced up. Anyway, Miss Wilcox, it is your claim that the defendant in an act of road rage caused an accident which caused your car to be damaged.
Yes.
She says that you were the one responsible for this unfortunate incident that happened on the highway, or were it not for your actions, the accident would not have taken place. So first, why don't you tell me when this incident happened and where you were going?
On the morning of February 12th, 2004, I was on my way to work.
What time?
At about 9:20, between 9:20 and 9:30.
What time do you do at work?
10 o'clock.
What kind of work do you do?
I'm a paralegal.
What kind of car were you driving?
A Nissan Sentra.
What year?
2002.
And you have a current valid driver's license and did at the time of the incident?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, tell me what happened.
On the morning of February 12th, I was on my way to work. I was traveling southbound on Nob Hill Road, which Nob Hill Road, if you enter the left lane, it turns onto the expressway, which is State Road 84. We consider it to be I-595.
Which is your car?
I'm number 2. Mrs. Knight was number 1. As we entered on the expressway, I proceeded over into the center lane. As this lane ends, if you stay in this lane, you'll end up getting back off the expressway. Ms. Knight was upset that as we went to get on the expressway, I entered in front of her to get on the expressway. She was behind me yelling obscenities, acting like she was going to bump the back of my car.
So maybe you cut her off?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Your Honor, absolutely. Shh. Maybe you cut her off?
Yes.
And she was angry?
Yes.
Go ahead.
We entered on the expressway. I proceeded into the center lane. Mrs. Knight came around me from the center lane to make her way into the third lane, where she hit that vehicle, knocked her into the median. She then came around me. As she came around me, she gave me her middle finger, as to say, you know, what the middle finger means. She came around me. She then bumped the front of me to cut me off and knock me out of my lane. She knocked my car spun out of control over here, and then back over here where I landed into the path of the first car that she knocked out, which is vehicle 3. She continued east on State Road 84, where 2 cars had to follow her to bring her back.
Not your car?
No, I was knocked off into the median. As she came back yelling, she came back cursing.
Okay, stop. Going to pick it up in a second.
Okay.
Let's go.
Okay, Your Honor. Actually, there's no way possible that I could have proceeded 3 lanes over, because at 9:30 in the morning on 595, it's a major highway.
No, don't tell me what's impossible.
I have a picture here
just
to show you. Okay, so the accurate is, she was in front of me, like she said. I'm here, smashing her brakes on, flicking me off as I waved and killed her with kindness, because my mom always taught me, you kill people with kindness. Don't feed into them. So I didn't. I tried to get over another lane and just chose right here. She got in front of me again, smashing on her brakes on a major highway, flicking me off as I'm laughing at her, because it was kind of comical to me. I was on my way to work as well. I did get over into the 3rd lane because we still had the on-ramp lane. And as I did, I passed her. And when I passed her, I looked right at her and said, yeah, baby, you ain't in front of me anymore. I enjoyed that because, you know what, she can't smash her brakes in front of me anymore. So I'm not going to rear-end someone and be at fault. So I proceeded to pass her. As I proceeded to pass her, she sped up and tried to cut in front of me. She couldn't, because my car had a little more power, I had a Ford Taurus, and it did pass her. As I passed her, she tried to push me into this lane. I couldn't go because there was a BMW truck. I did not hit that BMW truck. It is not in the accident report. That BMW truck had to go into the side of the highway here to avoid me hitting her, because it was a near miss, like it says right here. At that point, I decided to stay in this lane. That's when she continued to come in this lane, swiped the end of my car here, which, due to her, driving ability, spun her out into a NASCAR scene, which spun her out uncontrollable until she sideswiped the front end of the BMW truck, which ended them both up, her in the middle median grass area. I had no choice, because there was so much traffic still by us, to exit off, stop and call 911, which I did, and it's in the 911 report. At that point, by the time you exit, go through a shopping center, and get back on the highway, it takes a couple minutes. I then got back on the highway this way, met at the accident in the median, and her hands were going all up in the air, how I was wrong. Like I said, my mom told me to kill him with kindness.
May I see the police report, please?
I have the police report right here.
I'd like to see it.
And, Your Honor, she did hit the first car.
Just a second. Did you speak to the police officer?
I did.
And you spoke to the police officer. Did the driver of the BMW speak to the police officer?
Yes, they spoke to each of us separately.
Okay, that's what it suggests here. Now, after the police officer questioned the plaintiff and the driver of the BMW, you were issued a citation for careless driving. And I'm going to quote what the police officer wrote in the police report, which says exactly what she says happened. That you were driving fast. It said that vehicle number 3 was traveling on the inside lane, that vehicle number 3 was knocked off the road because of your driving, that you went over from one lane all the way over to the other lane. That's not the way we drive.
Excuse me, Your Honor. That vehicle that is the witness of vehicle number 3 did not, they were on the highway prior to us entering the highway, so she did not see the reason why I was driving exactly.
I don't know what she saw or not. All I know is you came onto the highway and you proceeded, because your car, according to this, was going faster than her car, to go all the way over into the far left lane. That's what this says you were doing. You were in a big hurry.
To avoid someone from smashing their brakes on.
Madam, I do not believe you. I do not believe that this woman got in front of you and then smashed her brakes on so that you would hit her in the rear. She doesn't look like a psychotic to me. Let me see your damages, please.
This is my damages, the estimate from her insurance company, and this is my pictures of my car as well.
It's clear that she hit your car.
Yes, ma'am. 2 witnesses had to bring her back, and they both came back to the scene to let the police know that they wanted to make sure that she was coming back.
Okay, the objective things that I have are a police report, which is totally consistent with the plaintiff's story. I have pictures which clearly indicate to me that something hit her car, not that her car hit something else, which is totally consistent with this version of events. And I have a story that suggests to me that you were traveling too fast, that you wanted to get over into the fast lane, and not only did you almost cause an accident with another car, because you were going fast enough, and according to you, that road is very heavily traveled.
Yeah,
absolutely.
And you could not possibly have gone from the far right lane to the far left lane.
Especially
But you
on high
did.
speed. I did.
But you did, because you cut off the BMW.
The BMW collided
All
with her
right,
car.
all right. You lost your temper. You acted like a fool, and you shouldn't have.
I waved at her and smiled.
You acted like a fool. Did you have insurance?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, what was your deductible?
It's $500.
Okay, so you're really looking for the $500 deductible.
Well, no, because in the state of Florida, we're not required to carry comp and collision. At the time, I did not carry comp and collision.
You did not?
No, ma'am.
Why didn't you carry collision?
At the time, it wasn't on my policy. I had a policy under my mother, and at the time, it just wasn't. We did not know.
Is the car fully paid for?
No, ma'am.
Well, if it's not fully paid for, you have to carry collision.
Yes, you do. In the state of Florida, it is required.
Just a second. We understand each other?
Yes, ma'am.
If you don't have a car that's fully paid for, you are required to carry collision insurance. So you're going to send to me a copy of your insurance policy that was in existence on the car at the time of this accident in February. Now, did you have your car fixed?
No, ma'am.
Why not?
I just haven't had it to pay for it yet. I'm still paying a car note. I just haven't had it to pay the damages.
Okay, this is what we're going to do, Miss Wilcox. I believe that the defendant is responsible for your damage to your car. And either your out-of-pocket expenses are $500,
yes, ma'am,
or they are $4,300. And I'm going to defer that judgment until you furnish me with the insurance policy that was in effect in February of 2004 when this accident happened. Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, judgment for the plaintiff, that's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
I did not hit her car. That's why my car had no damage.
She had a white car. My car is blue. I had white paint on my car. So how would she not have damage?
Miss Wilcox's hands were all up in the air, freaking out, yelling in road raging.
Mrs. Knight was totally upset that I got in front of her.
I just laughed and killed her with kindness.
She gave me the finger. She came back yelling.
I'm glad it's over with and done and taken care of.
Oh, God, it's just a lesson learned. I know there are crazy people out on the world that don't need to be driving, and I'm happy that justice was served today.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of DeLong versus Bryant, step forward, please.
Retail auditor Darlene Dottie DeLong is suing her ex-boyfriend, painting contractor John Bryant, for his share of the trip to North Carolina. John says he was out of work, so Dottie picked up the tab.
Mr. Long, Mr. Bryant and you were involved in a relationship, and according to your complaint, he wanted to travel from where the two of you were living to his hometown. There was some problem with his daughter and other things, but the problem was he didn't have any money. So you made an arrangement with him whereby you would put everything on your credit card and he would pay you back that money within a certain period of time. And he hasn't paid you back, and you're no longer involved in a relationship. Mr. Bryant said there was never a loan. He just wanted to go back to his hometown, meet his friends and family. There was never any agreement to reimburse you for any of the expenses. Is that right, sir?
That's true.
Okay. How long were you involved with Mr. Bryant before you decided to accompany him to his hometown?
Approximately a couple months.
Couple of months?
Couple of months.
You were not living together, you were just seeing him?
He stayed at the house and I stayed at his house.
And where were you living at the time?
In Indian River.
Indian River is where?
Michigan.
And where is your hometown, sir?
Afton, Michigan, just the next town over from Indian River.
So this is the trip that you made?
No, we went to North Carolina.
Oh, well, that's what I want to know. You went to North Carolina from Michigan. And
Yes,
how
we
long
did.
did that take you?
We were gone for 4 days. The ride down's about a 13 to 14-hour ride.
When did you travel there?
A couple days before the Super Bowl.
What prompted you to go?
Her wanting to go down, meet my children, my friends. We were sitting in the bar one night. It was during the playoffs, and I would call my friends in North Carolina, and we'd root back and forth about how the Panthers were going to the Super Bowl. And she said, "Wouldn't it be nice if we went down and watched the game with your friends?" And you know, yeah, sure, it would be great, but I told her that I wasn't working, I didn't have the money, and I thought it would be ridiculous for us to do that because I couldn't afford it.
Why weren't you working?
It was wintertime in northern Michigan, and I'm a paint contractor, and things are real slow in the wintertime up there.
Okay. And she said what to you?
She said that she would love to pay for us to go down, do that for me, so we could see my kids, she could meet my kids and my family, my friends.
And that's what you did?
Yes, she was very
Okay.
persistent. Yeah.
Good.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
If a man wants to spend whatever money he doesn't have in buying drugs, that should have been your first clue that this
Exactly.
was not a good idea.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Dottie DeLong claims ex-boyfriend John Bryant owes for a trip to North Carolina. Dottie says John wanted to visit his troubled daughter.
Okay, now I'll hear your version of the events, Mr. Long.
We went to North Carolina.
No, before you went to North Carolina.
I don't know what you want to know. We were dating, and his daughter was in trouble.
Well, tell me about that.
Okay, his daughter was in trouble. He wanted to go see his daughter. She was going into a girl's home, running out in the middle of the night, sneaking in and out of her house.
Is that what he told you?
Yes, I have phone bills to prove he was calling there.
All right, so tell me about the trip to North Carolina.
We went to North Carolina. He left me at his friend's house, went over and visited his daughter a couple times. We went to the school to visit his daughter. And the other time, we were at the Super Bowl party at his friend's house.
I didn't hear about any loan, madam.
I paid for all the gas on the way down on my credit cards, which I have the receipts of his signature.
Yes.
And he told me that if I paid for it, when he got back to work, he'd reimburse me.
When did you expect him to get back to work?
When the weather broke up there. March, April.
And when is the Super Bowl?
January.
End of January.
End of January.
Sorry.
Just telling you.
I loaned him money, a $50 loan at one point. Not sure if you want me to tell you about that loan.
No, don't
It was
ask him.
drugs, so he could buy a bag of pot.
Yes.
He did reimburse me for that.
When did he reimburse?
He did reimburse me for that. Are you saying I'm lying? Are you saying I'm lying?
Ma'am.
Yes.
Talk to the judge.
Thank you. Okay, so what you're telling me, Mr. Long, is when he borrowed money from you for marijuana, he paid you back.
Yes, he did.
So when he considers it a loan, he pays you back. Is that what you're telling me?
He gave me that back because I pursued it. He went to work a couple times and got paid. And I said, can I get some money from you for what you owe me? Because I have none. And he says, this is what I got that I can afford. I know I owe you more, but I can't give it to you right now.
When
and
is
I have
that?
witnesses to that.
Oh, I'll hear you witness. Step up. Tell me your name.
Brenda Santor.
And how are you related to these people?
Darlene is my cousin.
Okay. Tell me about where you were when you overheard Mr. Bryant acknowledging a debt to the plaintiff.
I was in her living room. He'd just gotten out of the shower. He was sitting in the chair, and he handed Darlene a $100 bill, said that this is part of the money that I owe you, that he was going to make good on the money for the trip.
I don't believe what you just said. Just a minute. I don't believe what you just said.
Well,
you're making that up as you're going.
No.
I believe that you may have seen him hand him 100. Listen to me, Brenda.
Ma'am?
I believe you when you said that you saw him hand her a $100 bill. That might make sense, that he got out of a shower and he handed her a $100 bill. I don't believe you when you said that you heard him say, I know that I owe you money for the trip and I'm going to give it back. Because somebody who just gets out of a shower and is sitting around in a towel doesn't talk about, here's $100 and I know I owe you more money for the trip and I'm going to pay you back. That's what you want me to believe you heard?
No, ma'am. When he was sitting in the chair in the living room, we were standing right there in the doorway. And when he handed Darlene the money, he said that he would make good on the money he owes her.
Oh, just a second. Just a second.
Well, the
just
money
a second.
that he owes her was for the trip. So.
Sit down.
Okay.
Anything else you want to tell me?
I have phone bills here that show that his daughter was in trouble, that he had made from my house.
So?
Why would I want to go to see his daughter in trouble?
No, I don't think you wanted to go and see his daughter who was in trouble. I think that you wanted to solidify your relationship and you wanted to go meet his friends. You knew he had no money, so you paid for the trip. Whatever the trip was, gas money, motel money. It was a social endeavor. You paid for it. You anticipated a long-term relationship. You didn't have one. Stop complaining. Write it off. It was a bad debt.
Your Honor?
What?
I'm the one that asked Jack to leave.
That may be, and you may have had good reason for that, madam, because if a man doesn't have any money and he wants to spend whatever money he doesn't have in buying drugs, that should have been your first clue that this was not a good idea. Do you understand?
Yeah.
Very good. I wouldn't have traveled with him from here to over where that light switch is, but you chose to do that, pay for it. It was a foolish thing to do. Don't do
Madam Collins versus Williams. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated, sir.
How old are you, Mr. Williams?
25.
What do you do for a living?
Electrician.
How long have you been an electrician?
About 4 years.
You freelance or you work for somebody?
Work for somebody.
Same job?
No.
How many different jobs have you had in the last year?
2 or 3.
Have a drug problem?
No.
Ever have a drug problem?
No.
Never.
Never had a drug problem.
Did you ever use drugs?
In the past, when I was a kid, yes.
You have a gambling problem?
No.
Why is it that an able-bodied young man like you, who's 25 years old, who has a profession, has to take money from his mother?
I didn't take money from my mother.
Well, you did.
It was
You
given
took-
to me.
You took, notice, I didn't use the word borrow, loan. You, in fact, took money. Bird, would you take these glasses from me? Now, I'm going to take them back from you. I didn't borrow them. Wasn't a loan. I took the glasses. He took the glasses. Do you understand? Why would a 25-year-old, able-bodied, non-drug abusing electrician have to take money from his mother by having her pawn her jewelry?
Financial problems.
Well, you explain that to me, sir.
Well, I mean, at the time, I was unemployed.
Oh, well, I asked you about that.
But at the time when she gave me money, I was unemployed.
Why?
Because I didn't have a job. They were laying people off. In my field, that happens. When there ain't work, they lay you off.
And when you're laid off, Mr. Williams, what do you do?
Well, you try to collect unemployment. Sometimes you get it, sometimes you don't.
Where do you live?
In Dallas.
Now, in Dallas, Texas, do they have car washes?
Yes.
They have people at the car washes that dry the cars when they're all finished?
Yes.
They're always looking for car dryers. Who were you living with at the time you lost your job?
Myself.
So you needed rent money?
Yes.
You have a car?
Yes. Well,
So you needed money for gas?
yes.
And they repossessed your car?
Yes.
I'll get to you in a minute. And so your mother took her jewelry and you went and you pawned her jewelry, right?
Yes.
And you got your car out of hock.
Yes.
And then you owed somebody either some money or a television set.
Yes.
Tell me about that.
Brought it over to my house. He needed a place to stay, or I needed to put the TV somewhere because he was moving out of his apartment. And
Don't look at the floor, look at me. I can tell everything, Mr. Williams.
Bills were tight on my end, so I pawned it. And
So somebody left you their television to hold on for them
yes.
and keep it in your house.
Yes.
And you agreed to do that.
Yes.
And then you took the television set and you pawned it because you needed cash.
Yes.
What'd you need cash for?
Rent.
Why didn't you get a job?
I was looking for work at that time.
In Dallas, Texas? Oh, I can guarantee you that there were restaurants always looking for help, car washes always looking for help.
Electrical companies weren't.
If you got to eat, you got to work. Can't steal somebody else's property. That's what you did. You took somebody's television set and you pawned it. That's stealing their property. So this person was very angry at you.
Yes.
So you went to your mother and you told her that this person was very angry and was going to hurt you unless
No,
you
he
got him
went-
back
he-
his television.
He went to her.
Oh, he went to her and said, I'm going to hurt him unless I get my TV back. How many children do you have?
5.
Youngest or oldest?
Middle. I have given him money in the past for, like, he's got a daughter. He was trying to get custody. I gave him that money. I gave it to him. That TV, I didn't even know he had a big screen. He sold 8 rings of mine. He made a profit on them.
I'm not finished yet.
Okay.
I didn't make a profit. Everything went towards paying bills.
When you went to get the television set out of the pawn shop for your friend,
Mm-hmm.
how much money did you pay for it? And give me the name of the pawn shop.
Cash America Pawn Shop, I don't know, it was about 500 and some change. Not exact. I don't know
And
exact.
how much did you get for your mother's rings?
The exact amount that needed to be paid for.
Or did you get a couple of $100 more?
Huh?
Huh? Or did you get a couple of $100 more?
No, I don't think I got a couple $100 more.
Well, let's see. Do you have the
Yes,
pawn-
I do.
Let me see.
Here's for the TV there. There's where you got the $450 and all my rings for that day, the pawn.
So the loan amount on the TV was $450, is that right? And he got $519.75.
That's what it cost to get it out.
And how much did he get for
To
the
get
rings?
it, he got $845.75.
What'd you do
that
with
was
the rest of the money?
$326 profit.
Bills.
Did you ask your mother if you could use the rest for bills?
No.
So then you stole from this man and you also stole from your mother?
No.
Yeah, you did.
No.
You could say no all you like. I guarantee you I'm going to have the last word, sir. Guaranteed. If your mother pays off a debt for you because she's afraid for your health and your welfare, and she says, here, take these rings and go and just get it done.
My health was never in danger. I wasn't afraid of my life, neither. Far from that. I don't care what anybody threats.
They just buried one of his friends 2 weeks ago because of his friends, okay?
Those things, listen.
Yeah.
It happens.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
It happens. He's not afraid. He's not afraid.
You never know it that day, okay?
Yeah. Well, tell me what happened on that day.
When he found out what was going to happen, he started, Mama, please, just give me the money. Just give me the money. I'll pay you back. I'll pay you back.
I didn't say that.
Yes, you did.
Where you come up with that?
Mr. Williams, I don't want to hear
But she's lying.
No, I'm not.
Listen to me. Listen to me. Have a talk with him.
Sure.
Thank you.
He was...
In here.
Let Bert do his thing.
Okay. So that
But I'm not going to let her lie to me,
no,
though.
you're not listening to me. I want you to listen. Just finish the case. Speak when you're spoken to. It's a good idea.
Yeah.
Okay?
Sure.
You understand me?
Yeah.
Okay.
Mr. Williams, you're going to have an opportunity to speak again.
Okay.
When your mother is speaking, don't interrupt her.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Next time somebody threatens to break his kneecaps, let him. He can't keep a job because if he's not using drugs, he has an attitude problem.
Bingo.
And later today,
You made a lot of payments.
Yes, ma'am.
What'd you stop for?
I guess we split up and I didn't get around to it.
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Linda Collins says her son, Andrew Williams, pawned her jewelry so he could pay off his debts. Linda claims Andrew's life was in danger.
When did he tell you that he would return the money that you gave him for the car?
For the car, he told me that he would get the rings out, and they all went in on separate, tickets so he could get it back. And he made a couple payments of $80. That don't cover interest, though. Here's the tickets for that, and they don't cover interest.
So he made a couple of payments?
No, he gave me two $80 payments and a $50 payment. That's interest, and I told him that. I said, Andy, this isn't getting the rings. This is interest.
Okay, but he did give you some money?
Yeah.
There you go. Andy, how come you gave your mother some money?
Goodwill gift.
Here's a letter from the dealership.
I don't need it. I don't need it. He's just a smart aleck. You know what?
Yes, he is.
Next time somebody threatens to break his kneecaps, let him.
Mm-hmm.
Let him.
I'm his mother. He could do this to me.
Yeah, let him. Okay, so that's the car. He made some payments on the things that he pawned. When you started to tell me, when this man came to you and told you that he had pawned this TV, did you call your son?
Yes.
And what happened when you called your son?
He said he's got to get the TV out. The guy was going to file theft and threaten damage to Andrew, everything. And I thought, I can't bury my son. I can't do that. I'm a mother.
That would be a blessing.
Okay, so, I did what any mother, I loaned him the money. He told me he would get my jewelry back, not a problem. And he's an electrician. I don't even make $10 an hour. He's an electrician.
He was an unemployed electrician, so it doesn't make any difference how much...
I can't help he can't keep jobs, and he goes right back to work.
He can't keep a job because if he's not using drugs, he has an attitude problem.
There you go. Bingo.
Unfortunately, you can't take a pill for that.
I know.
How much is it going to cost to get all your rings out of...
A lot of my rings have been sold.
Well, how much is it going to cost to get what's left?
It's going to run right around $5,000, but the value was $13,000. But he didn't care.
Can I see photographs, please?
And here's one of the rings that's sold now. It was certified. That's what that is. Judge Judy?
Yes.
This is what he has now that's more important.
Listen to me. He won't have it for long.
I know that. You're right.
So don't,
It's paid every month. I ain't worried about that.
He won't have it for long.
I know that.
So, got it?
Yeah.
Mr. Williams, the truck that you now own, did you buy new or used?
Brand new.
And how much money did you put down on it?
$1,000.
How come you didn't get any of these rings back for your mother?
Because I didn't owe her any money.
Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $5,000. Don't give him any more money.
Oh, I have no intention.
Good.
Thank
Parties
you.
are excused. You may step out.
His real attitude came out. That's my son. I'm embarrassed for him.
When I bought that brand new truck, she kind of got angry with me because it's brand new and she drives a piece of crap.
I had to stalk him to try to get my money, and I couldn't get it out of him.
It'd be a nice break. She kind of gets on my nerves sometimes.
Oh, he'll get a break. When I get him home to Texas, he getting a break.
She just listened to a bunch of lies from my mother. I don't believe any of it.
I'll take care of that boy when we get to Texas. Okay, we have our own ways of dealing with stuff. I will take care of him.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of St. Germain versus Old. Step forward, please.
22-year-old dental assistant Kylie St. Germain is suing her ex-boyfriend, water treatment technician Jonathan Old, for an unpaid loan to have his teeth fixed and for the cost of a New Orleans hotel room.
Miss St. Germain, this gentleman was your boyfriend for a while, and according to your complaint, he owes you the balance of some dental work that you put on a credit card. And in addition, you say he pulled some sort of a scam when you were on vacation. You put some hotel rooms on a credit card, going away with a large group of people, and the next day he collected the cash from all the people that were with you, and instead of paying the hotel room in cash, he left it on your credit card and pocketed the cash.
All right.
The defendant says that he paid off the dental work and that he did not collect any money from the people that you were on vacation with, that the people that you were on vacation with stiffed you for the hotel room. That's his defense. Is that right, sir?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you live together?
Yes, ma'am.
For how long?
About 2.5 years.
What kind of dental work did he need?
He needed to have some wisdom teeth pulled. 2 times, had to replace a flipper.
What's a flipper?
Just a missing tooth appliance.
A missing tooth appliance?
Yes, ma'am.
You mean like a bridge?
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, okay, like a bridge. It's called a flipper?
Yes, ma'am.
And how much was all this dental work, sir?
I don't know. She took care of my bills. All I know is I paid her.
Mr. Old, you're going to explain to me how this worked. You lived together, is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
And you had a job, I assume?
Yes, ma'am.
And how much were you earning?
Monthly? I say around $2 grand.
And how much money did you give to Miss St. Germain for bills?
About $500 or $600.
Were you saving a lot of money?
No.
Well, if you were giving her $500 to $600 a month, what were you doing with the other $1,500?
Spending it, partying, drinking.
How come he needed money for his dental work?
I had bad credit.
He had bad credit. He needed a co-signer. He didn't have the money to come up with it up front, so I co-signed for him.
And he was paying the bill?
Yeah.
Until when?
Until February.
What was the balance left on the bill in February?
It was $656.35.
And how much was the bill initially?
$2,375.
So he made a lot of payments.
Mm-hmm.
Yes,
He
ma'am.
made a lot of payments.
Yes, ma'am.
What'd you stop for?
Just, I guess we split up and I didn't get around to it.
Now let's get to the unauthorized use of the credit card. What is your name?
Chris Jarrow.
Were you on the trip with them?
Yes, ma'am.
So how did I know that? Smart lady. Step up. How many people went on the trip?
8.
Where did you stay?
The park on St. Charles.
You were in New Orleans?
Yes, ma'am.
Everybody having a gay old time?
Fun time.
Good. That's what I meant.
Yeah, that's what I thought you meant.
Yeah, I think things have a double meaning when you're younger these days. You have to sort of watch what you say. I think so. Anyway, you put the hotel room on your credit card
I
to
reserved
start
the
with.
room.
You reserved the room. And everybody was supposed to kick in the money at the end and pay in cash. Now, did you in fact pay cash for the room?
Yes, ma'am.
Who did you pay the cash to?
John.
John. How much did you give him?
$100.
And what was the cost of the hotel room?
It was $803.66.
What about your $100?
I wasn't told that I was supposed to pay $100. He told me to reserve the credit card on, to reserve the room on the credit card, and he would take care of it at the end when we left.
Well, he was collecting money from everybody. You collected money from him.
That's it.
That's it?
Yeah.
Well, you didn't say that here in your answer. You said that all the people stiffed her. But it's not just him. It's him and your $100 too, right?
Yes, ma'am.
So if I believed you, that would mean that $200 at least should have gone to pay this bill, and only $600 should have been on the credit card. But there was $800 on the credit card. Are you following me?
Yes, ma'am.
Am I right?
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, I hate when they're so polite. It's hard to yell at them. Did you see anybody else give him money?
No, ma'am. I did speak with my friends who were with us. I know them all, and
Well, that's sort of hearsay, right?
Right.
But you know their names, don't you?
Yes.
And if I were to call them, do you think, Mr. Old, that they would tell me that they gave you money or they didn't give you money?
I don't know.
Well, I'm going to ask you so.
I don't know. I mean, because some of them.
Mr. Old,
I don't speak to some of them.
No, but that's not my question, sir. I didn't ask whether you spoke to them, whether you dated them, whether you ate with them, whether you socialized with them. That's not of particular interest to me. My question to you is a simple one. This gentleman knows the names of all those people.
Mm-hmm.
You just testified a moment ago and put in your answer that nobody gave you money, but clearly this young man gave you $100 that you didn't put towards the hotel room.
No.
And you had your stay of $100 that you should have put towards the hotel room, and clearly you didn't do that, right?
Yes.
So my question to you is, if I were to go in my chambers and pick up the telephone and call any of the other people...
They would say they didn't pay me.
They would say they didn't pay you.
Yeah.
Can I have the names and telephone numbers of any one of those people?
Yes, ma'am.
You can do it.
Okay. It's Chris, I don't know his last name. And it's 337-5.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Okay. Well, according to Chris, he gave $75 to Norma. Didn't give any money to Jonathan. I don't know what kind of an arrangement he had. In any event, certainly I know that $200 should have been turned over to the plaintiff. $200 plus the $656.30 is $856.30. $656 is for his dental work. Anything else you want to tell me?
The hotel was under his name.
Yes.
And he was supposed to be, you know, he was supposed to pay the bill.
He said nobody gave him any money. His money, his money. Got it? Don't use your credit card anymore. Use your credit card, you get stiff. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $856.30. Thank you.
The parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Sir, have a seat.
Ms. Rao, you and the defendant are next-door neighbors.
Yes, Your Honor.
And you have adjoining backyards.
Yes.
Adjoining yards. And it is your claim that Mr. Cruz threw some junk into your backyard, and in doing so damaged some of your property. You want him to pay for that property. Mr. Cruz seems to indicate that while he did place some things in your yard,
Yes, ma'am.
he was merely returning the stuff that you had put in his yard.
Correct, Your Honor.
So it sounds to me like you people need something else to do. When did the trouble start, Miss Rao, with Mr. Cruz?
When I saw that the land was eroding, I put rocks there to hold up the land, and Mr. Cruz came out and abruptly said, "What are you doing?" And I told him, I said, "We got a problem here. The land is going down the hill."
I don't understand. Do you have a photograph to show me
Yes,
what you
I do.
mean? I'd like to see it.
That's the photographs of the damage and the
Well, I don't
the
want
land.
to see the damage. I'll take them all. Let me see if I can find what you're talking about. Okay. I'm looking at this picture. Is this the area where you were placing rocks?
Yes.
Okay. On whose property is this?
Mr. Cruz.
So you were placing rocks on Mr. Cruz's property?
Some of it is my property. I was placing it real close to the fence.
Well, you can't place rocks on his property, Miss Rao.
I was placing it on my property.
No, you also said you were placing it on his property. You cannot place rocks on his property. You cannot put anything on his property.
Right. I got his permission. When he came out and abruptly said, "What are you doing?" I told him, and he said, "Fine."
Just a second.
Okay.
Before you do it.
That's not true, Your Honor.
Okay. If that was true, that was very nice of him. But before you step on somebody else's property to make any alterations, you call them and you ask for permission. Do you understand?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. Now, I'll start with you, Mr. Cruz. Why don't you tell me what happened?
November 2nd, we got up and I looked out my kitchen window and I actually could see up the slope to her house. And I saw some garbage, branches, tennis shoe. I see PVC pipe. I see a bucket, those black ones when the plants come in. I told my wife I'll be right back. I went to her house, knocked on her door to see if she was there. I've cleaned it 3 times
Now,
already.
that's on your property?
Yes, ma'am. It's on my property.
Is this a back part of your property?
Yes, it's a back with a big slope, like maybe 70 feet long.
And on the other side of the property is?
Her fence in the pool.
Okay. So, just a second. So you went over to her house on the 2nd?
Correct.
And nobody answered?
Nobody answered the door, so I went home. I went up the slope. I picked up the black bucket, a couple of root plants, and a couple rocks, and I tossed it over the fence. And that dirt right there that you see was covered all with ice plant. There was no exposure of the PVC pipe. I have a picture, ma'am.
Let me see it, please.
I have a couple pictures. Plus, I also found a rock in my pool. And it's not rock, it's actually cement. Take a look through those. And there's also a picture of a ladder that she uses to climb over my fence. Because she's been in my property. I've seen her 3 times. The last time I saw her, she was just sitting there pulling some ice plants, and I said to my wife, let's just ignore her.
Why were you pulling, why were you pulling these ice plants?
I got his permission. I asked him if he would please trim his ice plant because it was going under my fence and getting wrapped up in my vines. And he said he wouldn't. I said, do you mind if I do it? He said it was fine. So I hired a guy to trim his ice plant, and I told him at that time I was going to put rocks there to keep the land from going down the hill, and I was going to put plants there, plants with good roots to hold the soil. I was trying to better the property. I would never, ever, I was afraid of him and still afraid of him. I would never put garbage on his place.
Miss Rao, listen to me. Somebody in your house was using part of his property to dump stuff.
No, Your Honor, no.
Well, I mean, otherwise what you're saying to me...
I don't know where the tennis shoe came from. I don't know. I have no idea where a tennis shoe came from. It was a huge man's tennis shoe. I live in my house by myself. I'm trying to clean up the area.
Okay. Now, I would like you to tell me what kind of damage you allege was done as a result of his throwing this debris over, and I want to see your police report, please.
He did not give a police report.
Well, if you don't have a police report, don't give me anything else.
What is this notice that he came out? I don't know why they didn't do a police report.
I don't know
why. He told Ron why he didn't do a police report.
Who are you?
My name's Ron Filipponi, Your Honor. I'm Mrs. Darlene's fiance.
Okay.
And I picked up the police report, and the Sheriff's Department did not do a police report on an incident because there was no threats made and there was no physical damage.
Well, that's not true, because I have a police report here indicating that the alleged violation that Mr. Cruz was complaining of was trespassing, dumping onto property, and repeating violations.
Your Honor, anything I did was try to improve the property. I would never... First of all, I'm afraid of Mr. Cruz.
Ms. Rao, you cannot elect to improve somebody else's property.
It was to take care of my property. It's sliding down the hill.
You cannot elect to improve someone else's property.
I'm trying to prevent my land from going down. I was just going to put rock there to save the land.
I'm going to say it to you one more time. You can't do that. It's not your property.
Part of it is.
Part of it may be. The rest of it is his. You can't go on his property and put rocks on his property. You can't do that.
I put the rocks on the property because I didn't want to step on that pipe. I was trying to protect from stepping on the pipe, and then I could stand on a rock and move the, rather than standing on the soil and sliding down.
You can't do that.
And when I was doing that, I waved, he was in the window in the kitchen, and I waved to him and he waved back.
On my property. She's on my property waving at me.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
I've tried to explain to this lady who doesn't seem to get it. Maybe you get it. Do you get it?
I get it, Your Honor.
Maybe later, in a quiet moment, you give her a glass of red wine. Maybe you can explain it to her.
And later today,
we need one of those great fly swatters, because there's a sucker here that's looking to meet its ancient relatives. You or me?
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Darlene Rao says neighbor Raul Cruz damaged her fence with rocks. Raul says it's Darlene who's dumping rocks on his property.
Now, I want you to show me what the damage was to your, whatever you say was damaged as a result of his throwing this stuff all the way down here.
Okay, you have the pictures of what's damaged.
No, I see a lot of schmutz, but I don't see much damage.
Well, this is part of the vase statue of the angel that he broke. This is what came off the chair that I passed it down from my mom to me. And there's a big bench there. You can see the damage to the big bench there.
You have a picture of the bench before?
Yes, I have a picture of the bench right here before.
Can I see it?
This is before, and this is after I did the work. This is where all his plants were coming up.
No, I just want to see the picture of the bench.
And the bench is here, and the bench is here. There's all these pictures of the bench.
I also have a picture of her property, and she has like maybe 1.5 feet of white rock. If she wants to do something to prevent it from going down, she could build a retaining wall on that white rock she has.
Listen to me. You can't throw the rocks on her property because you got in a snit.
I was just returning it.
I heard you, Mr. Cruz. I mean, I've tried to explain to this lady who doesn't seem to get it. Maybe you get it. Do you get it?
I get it, Your Honor.
Good. I'm glad you get it. Maybe later, you know, in a quiet moment, you give her a glass of red wine. Maybe you can explain it to her that she cannot go on somebody else's property.
That's sound advice.
It's sound advice,
yes,
right? So you have to stay on your own land. In the meantime, I don't see a picture of this bench that you allege he damaged before.
Can I come up there and show it to you, please?
Sure. Show me a picture. Listen to me. I see this picture. I see this picture of the bench here.
Right.
Damaged. And all I want you to show...
See? Here's the bench, right here.
I see the bench. I want you to show me a picture of the bench before you say this happened.
There's little snapshots here.
Well, show me.
Sorry, it's far away, but that's the bench.
Listen to me. Listen to me. Listen to me. Pay attention. I can't see anything from this picture. Could you see anything from this picture? The answer is yes or no.
Yes,
Can you see what the bench looked like in this picture?
Yes.
Well, I can't. I can't. Step
I can
back.
see it.
Mr. Cruz, good luck to you.
Thank you.
Sir,
I need it.
You still have a chance. Do you understand?
Yes, I understand.
Good. You can't throw property like you did. And she may be irritating and she may cause you all kinds of problems, but you still cannot resort to that kind of self-help. Listen, Miss Rao, bottom line is you can't put your foot on somebody else's property.
I got permission from him, too, and I swear to God, that's the truth. I will, but
Miss
I got
Rao,
permission from him.
Mr. Cruz, you have $1 in your pocket?
Yes, I do.
Take it out. Bird, take the $1. Give it to Miss Rao. That's your judgment for the damage that he did, Miss Rao. You don't seem to get it. I want you to get it. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
He gave me permission to put the rocks there, and I swear to God, that's the honest-to-God truth.
I think she's a good person, and I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, we have differences, but let's just get along with neighbors.
He's a con man, and for some reason, I'm a victim.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Kangas versus Kangas, step forward, please.
Licensed investigator Paul Kangas is suing his son, 21-year-old movie theater clerk Shane Kangas, for unauthorized credit card charges and for money owed on a computer. Shane says he worked off the debt by working in the family business.
Mr. Kangas, this young man is your son.
Yes, Your Honor.
How old is he?
21.
What do you do?
I work at a movie theater.
What do you do there?
I serve people popcorn, clean up at the night.
What do you want to be when you grow up?
Computer technician.
Okay. Mr. Kangas, you say that your son came to live with you, and you also purchased a computer for him, and I understand that the agreement was it was going to be paid for in sort of barter. He was going to put in a certain number of hours working for your business, which is private investigating business.
Yes, Your Honor.
And that would pay off the computer.
Yes.
And you also gave him a credit card.
I did.
And told him to use it, but use it wisely.
It's to help him in the business, so when I send him out to do something, like go to the lab to develop film, that he'd have a way of paying for the film, picking up the film.
And what about personal stuff if he needed something?
Personal stuff, he had to check with me before he spent beyond $20. I have the same arrangement with my daughter, and she honors it strictly with her credit card.
That's what makes horse racing, sir. Children
Yes.
are different.
That's for sure.
Okay. After several months, he decided he didn't like it anymore, so he decided to sit in his room, play his guitar, whatever. You got annoyed. He left. You want him to pay for the computer and for the credit card bills that he racked up while he was still using the credit card. That's what your lawsuit's about.
Somewhat. It's the reason for buying the computer for him was to motivate him. So I made this deal with him. Look, you pick out any computer you want, and the deal is you'll pay for it out of the amount of time you put in. I'm only asking you to work 4 hours a day. We lived across the street from the courts, so it was easy for him.
Well, how long did he work for you after you bought him the computer?
Several months. He was doing quite well. He was really motivated.
Well, how much did he work off of the computer?
About $1,000 of it.
That's a pretty nebulous contract that you have with him, Mr. Kangas.
Well, he didn't last that long because he got so into the computer. I mean, he'd be up at 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock in the morning on the computer, and I'm trying to sleep. I was trying to motivate him. I was trying to control him. I was trying to exert some parental influence on him.
All sounds terrific. Remember the father knows best?
Yes, I do.
It's not like that anymore.
Well, it's...
Families don't sit around in shirts and ties having dinner together anymore. Everything that you did with your son sounds as if you had the right motivation. He was going to work, and he was going to pay off this computer, and he was going to be responsible with the credit card.
That's right.
Right.
But then we got into a dispute over the computer, and then he moved out and started spending the credit card like it was his credit card and it was free money, and he just started sending me these bills for huge amounts of money.
Well, what I would like to see is the bills after he moved out. And then, Bert, you know what we're going to do? We need one of those great fly swatters that we used to have, because there's a sucker here that's looking to meet its ancient relatives.
I think I got just what you need.
You or me?
Oh. Took a nice little nosedive right into your cup. No, they don't.
No. See what happens when I get annoyed?
Yes,
Okay. What date did you move out, young man?
It was 14 months ago.
Well, give me a month.
June or July.
June or July. So let me see the bills after June or July. Let's do July.
Well, the deal was no crazy expenses. And
Mr. Kangas, listen to me very carefully, sir. I raised a lot of teenagers, and they are so creative with a credit card.
Yeah.
I didn't know for a very long time that when I gave a kid a gas credit card, that they could go in and get enough food for their entire dormitory in one of those gas places. I didn't know that. And I said, how could they use so much gas? The campus isn't that big. Where are you using all that gas? And then I realized that you can buy milk and juice and newspapers and cookies and snacks and eggs. Well, and you can not only buy, and you can not only buy it for yourself, but you could buy it for all your friends, because if you buy it for all your friends, they give you the cash.
Right.
Do you understand? Listen, Mr. Kangas, I know that happens. I didn't sue my children. So what I want to see is, after he left, because it was clear to me that when you left, you should have left the credit card.
He did. I took it away from him.
And how did he use it?
I don't know how he got another one.
How did you use it, sir?
Shh.
Is not an answer.
I had the number on my computer still, so I could still make online purchases.
Okay. Now, Mr. Kangas, what's your first name?
Shane.
Shane. So let me explain this to you. The computer, sir, is yours because your father made too soft a deal for me to have to figure out how many hours you worked and whether or not you paid for the computer with the work that you did for him. That's his problem. But you're a big boy. So you knew that when you moved out of the house and your father took the credit card from you, you were not supposed to use it, right? Is not an answer.
Sorry.
If he took the credit card from you, he said to you, what did he say? Give me the credit card, and if you need it, go look on your computer and get the number? Give me the fly swatter. Let me explain something to you. He's a computer hacker.
That's right.
And he's going to go into your bills, and if he has your social security number, he'll steal your identity, and all of a sudden you'll find that you bought 9 surfboards.
Then he took the credit card out of my ex-wife's purse and went back to spending it again.
Well, it doesn't say much for you, sir, that you raised a thief.
No, I feel it's the unexpected legacy of divorce.
That is a crock. That's not the legacy of divorce. I've been divorced, and I had children, and none of them are thieves. 5 of them. Nobody would go into my pocketbook and steal my credit card. So that's ridiculous.
Well, he's depressed, and I feel that...
He's depressed?
Yeah, he's got a
He's
lack of
depressed. He's a
motivation.
thief. That's not being depressed. Look at him. Does he look depressed to you? He doesn't look depressed to me.
He's got a lack
A
of
little
motivation.
high, maybe, but not depressed. Right, Shane?
No.
Really?
Really?
Really? I see $849 on the credit card after July.
Unfortunately, I put all of the receipts in a special envelope, put it in a special place, and then I couldn't find it, so that by the time I got here, that's what I had. I understand. I should have had better control of my file.
No, you should have better control of your son.
That
Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $849.
Versus Booth. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Folks have seats.
Ms. Bowden, according to your complaint, you were visiting a male friend who happens to be the ex-boyfriend of the defendants.
Mm-hmm.
So far, correct?
Yes, but they are now back together, that I'm aware of.
Boyfriend.
Yes.
And according to your complaint, she came to the house and after some altercation at the house, vandalized your car. And you want her to pay for the damage to the car. She says she didn't do it. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yes.
When did this happen?
December 22nd, about 1:30 in the morning.
Tell me what happened.
She came to the house and
you were at his house?
At his house. We were watching a movie and we heard a bunch of racket outside and we started hearing her scream his name. So he was like, I'm going to go outside and take care of it. So he went outside, asked her to leave, and she was screaming, look what I'm doing to this car. You know, why are you that? Blah, 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 blah. And he was trying to explain to her, we're not, there's nothing going on. And he asked her to leave. She wouldn't leave. Then he threatened to throw a brick through her window. And so
He threatened to throw a brick through her window.
Through her window if she didn't leave. So she got in the car and left. And the whole time I was watching through the window, watching whatever was going on. He came back inside, and I said, what'd she do to my car? And he said, all she did was break off the windshield wipers. So I went outside.
That's what he said to you?
Yes. So I went outside, and I looked at my car. All four of the tires were flattened. And it was keyed all the way around the car. It said it was keyed on the back, on the trunk. And so he told me, well, we didn't have a phone in the house at that time. So he told me, well, we're just going to have to, you know, wait to call in the morning when his dad had a cell phone. So we had to pull the car around in the front of the house. So we go back inside, and she comes back in another vehicle and breaks the driver's side window.
Did you see her do that?
Yes.
What kind of vehicle did she come back in?
It was a gray Grand Am, I believe.
Was she alone in the car or with someone else?
Someone else.
Was she the driver or the passenger?
She was a passenger.
What kind of street lighting is there around the house?
There is a light on the garage, so I could see her outside standing by my car, and I could see him when he went outside.
So she actually got out of the car to do it, to
yeah,
smash
in the beginning.
No, to smash the window.
Oh, no, she didn't. She was in the car.
Now, when you say you pulled the car to the front, was that in a driveway or on the street?
It was on the street, right in front of his house, on the grass. I have a picture.
I'd like to see it. So here's the picture. Now, she pulled up alongside the car, and she was next to...
Right next to the car.
The window.
Yeah.
Did you hear the window shatter?
Yes, we saw it.
You saw it. And what did you do when you saw the window shatter?
Nothing. She drove off. They drove off real fast.
When did you report this to the police?
The next morning.
May I see the police report, please? Did you file charges with the city prosecutor?
No.
You did not? Tell me why.
Because I had already called and made plans to come here, and plus it cost money, the money that I didn't have.
Okay.
Because she ain't had no proof I did it because I didn't do it.
Stand up. Over there. Tell me your name.
Greg Freeman.
Speak up.
Greg Freeman, Your Honor.
Mr. Freeman, how old are you, sir?
23.
What do you do for a living?
Temporary services at the time.
Okay. You think you're smart?
Yes, ma'am.
What do you think smarter, you or me?
Figure you.
You're right. So I'm going to ask you a couple of questions because your girlfriend over here says I didn't do anything. On the evening of December 22nd, you were at your home with the plaintiff?
Yes, ma'am.
Did your former girlfriend, now your current girlfriend, come over to the house that night?
Later that night.
Did you have an argument?
Yes. And it wasn't an argument. We had a discussion.
You had a discussion.
Yeah.
And subsequently, after the discussion and after a period of time, the defendant left. Is that right?
Yeah.
And did there come a time when you and the plaintiff went out to look at her car?
We went to leave.
You went to,
Later on.
Did you look at her car?
Did we look at it? No,
Yes.
we just got inside and we was about to leave to go over a friend's house.
Did you see any damage to her car?
Not until after we pulled it in the front of my house.
Okay.
Because all 4 tires was flat.
And what about the windshield wipers?
The windshield wipers.
Were they broken?
There was one.
That was
One
broken.
was messed up.
was
I don't know how bad, but it was messed up.
Okay. And did you witness who did that?
No.
You did not?
No, I didn't.
Did you witness who did any of the damage to her car?
No, I didn't.
You didn't?
No.
Then can you explain to me, Mr. Freeman, why you gave a statement to the police?
I didn't give no statement.
Quiet. Why you gave a statement to the police that said both the victim and her boyfriend, that would be you at the time, stated that they witnessed the event.
Wasn't me. I ain't witness nothing, Your Honor. I ain't see nothing. I ain't even.
You don't see nothing.
I
You
didn't
don't
see
know
nothing.
nothing. You weren't there, and you just had a discussion
It's the
with
truth.
her. And you
It's
just
the
had.
truth. I didn't see her
Listen
do
to me.
none of the damage.
Listen to me, sir.
Hmm.
On your best day, you are not as smart as I am on my worst day. Can you figure that out?
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Annika Bowden says her friend's girlfriend, Anna Booth, scratched insults into the side of her car. Anna says Annika was trying to secretly date her boyfriend.
Why in the world would this young lady, after you had a pretty violent confrontation with your now girlfriend, where you threatened to throw a brick through her window if she didn't leave? Now, that's
That
a pretty
wasn't
violent
true either.
confrontation. Quiet! Why would you describe that to me as a discussion? Humma?
A discussion.
That's what you just
We
told me.
didn't have an argument.
You had a
We
discussion.
had a discussion.
I said, why would you describe to me an event where you threatened to throw a brick through her window if she didn't
I never
leave?
said that.
You didn't?
No.
You were happy to see her at 1:30 in the morning at your house?
It wasn't 1:30.
What time was it?
Around 11.
You were happy to see her at 11 o'clock at night at your
Yeah,
house?
I called her and told her to come over.
Did you really?
Yes, I did.
Uh-huh. Sit down. The only problem that you have is a case of very bad judgment. Do you understand?
I understand.
Very bad judgment.
I understand.
Because I don't know how long this thing was your boyfriend, but it
Thing.
seems to me that that is an example.
We were never. It's wrong in the police report.
That it was boyfriend, just a,
Yeah,
a friend that is a
friend.
boy.
Yes.
Well, you got to pick your friends a little more carefully. Let me see an estimate for the damage to the car. Did he say something?
No, you didn't say anything, did you?
Nope.
He'd be happier if he got pants that fit him. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $3,446.51. Get him out of here.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
The car wasn't even worth that in the first place, and I didn't do it.
I'm just thankful that my car is gonna get fixed.
She's probably mad because she wanted to be with Greg after she done ran through all his other friends.
I didn't want anything to do with either of them.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Bellman versus Curtis. Step forward, please.
28-year-old sales rep Gretchen Bellman is suing her ex-boyfriend, 28-year-old mechanical engineer Justin Curtis, for unpaid credit card charges. Justin says Gretchen ran over his ankle with her car, so they're even.
Mr. Curtis, you look petrified, sir.
A little nervous, Your Honor.
Good. I don't want you to get too comfortable, Mr. Curtis. Miss Bellman, according to your complaint, the cardinal sin was committed by you when you placed him on your joint checking account. The next thing that you foolishly did was you gave him a credit card that you were responsible for that was attached to your, somehow, to your checking account.
Checking account, correct.
While involved in this domestic bliss, he managed to run up a bill of in excess of $5,000 on the credit card. Then you broke up. Now, Mr. Curtis here doesn't seem to deny in his answer that he ran up these bills on the credit card that exceed $5,000. You have two defenses. Is that
Yes,
right?
Your Honor.
The first defense is that she told you that as long as you paid the truck loan, she was forgiving the $5,000 worth of credit card charges.
Truck payments and the car insurance.
The second defense is that she had, in fact, caused an injury to your foot when she ran over your foot or your ankle with a car, and that she should be responsible for paying your medical bills, etc. Those
And
are your
loss
two.
of wages.
And lost wages. So, since there is no issue other than your bad judgment with regard to giving him access to your money, we're going to go directly to Mr. Curtis because I have to see what his defenses are. Do you understand?
Yes.
She co-signed for a loan for a truck for you. You have the truck.
Yes, Your Honor.
When did she co-sign for the truck?
April of 2000.
What are you asking me for? I don't know the answer to that question,
I'm
Mr.
trying
Curtis.
to think of it. April 2000.
And were you living together at the time?
No.
But you were in a relationship at the time.
Yes, Your Honor.
And have you made the payments regularly?
Yes, and I have evidence of that.
Good. Why did she have to co-sign this truck loan for you?
I don't have very good credit, Your Honor. And I knew I wouldn't be approved by myself, and my truck had broken down, and I needed a vehicle. And she said, I mean, we were figuring on spending the rest of our lives together, so she co-signed for me.
How old are you?
I'm 28.
You have parents?
Divorced parents, Your Honor.
Divorce doesn't mean they're dead.
Yeah,
They're still
parents,
alive.
yes.
So you didn't ask your parents to co-sign for the truck loan?
No.
You asked her?
I don't know. No, I wouldn't ask my parents. Well, it just came down to that, and she basically agreed to it. I don't know.
Well, you must have asked her.
Yeah.
Asked her.
We talked about it mutually, yes.
What kind of truck did you buy?
Z71 Chevy extended cab.
What do you do for a living?
I'm a mechanical engineer.
Do you work in an office?
No, I'm outdoors.
So you need this truck for business?
For business, yes. I put on about 50,000 miles a year. I drive all over.
How much is this truck?
22,000. And we got extended warranty. It costs a little bit more. And
Not we, you.
Yeah.
She doesn't drive the truck.
It's me.
What date did you separate?
October. Well, we were living together, and she broke up with me July 4th.
When did you start living together? I thought when you bought the truck.
October 2000.
You started living together?
Yep, and we lived together till October 2001 because that was the lease. But we broke up before that, and we still lived together.
And now, when did this incident happen with your foot?
September 22nd of 2001.
How did it happen?
Well, she's your classic redhead. She's very, very short-tempered. We were out drinking at a bar, having dinner, and I went over and talked to my friends, and she was sitting on the couch, and I left her alone, so she stormed out of the bar, and I went chasing her, saying, I need to ride, at least give me the keys, I need a ride home. She got in her car, she wouldn't let me in, she locked the car door, so I stood on the side of her car on her side steps and hang on, and she backed out of the parking spot. I fell off and ran over my ankle.
So you stood on her car?
I was standing on the side steps so she wouldn't take off. I wanted keys to get in the house.
Jumping
and she
up
backed
and down.
And she backed up fast, must have been too fast. I fell off and the front tire.
What were you doing on her car?
So she'd give me the keys to my house.
Well, then you're responsible for your own accident.
Yep.
She's not responsible for your accident. You are.
Well, why would she back out when I'm standing?
Why would you stand on her car? Why don't you go and ask the person who you were talking to when you were leaving her alone in the bar to give you a ride home?
Just a couple of friends. I haven't seen in a long time. So.
Well, good. A couple of friends. Ask them for a ride home. Don't go standing on her car. She wanted to leave. You didn't want her to leave. You stood on her car. She left. It's the way it goes. So I've just taken care of one of your defenses. Now tell me about this. Forget about the credit card, just as long as you pay the truck loan.
When we broke up, in one of our conversations, she said on the phone, I don't care about the credit card. I don't care about anything. She goes, just keep on making the payments on the truck and the car insurance, and I'll take care of everything else.
Did you say that to him?
You know, why would I tell him that?
No, I'm asking you a question, not why would. Don't ask me a question. I ask questions, you answer. Did you tell him that you were forgiving the credit card bills?
I said, I just want you out of my life, and I don't want to have to call you every month, which I had to have to do every month to get him to pay the card. He never paid the card on time, and so I said, I just don't want to have to deal with you. But then the more I got to thinking about it, I'm like, this is $5,000 that's going out of my pocket that he frivolously charged just in
Let me see the
overdraft.
things that he bought.
Your Honor, it's a joint checking account. Credit card's her name. There's no way to prove that if they're all mine. They could
Well,
be
I want to
hers
take
too.
a look and see. You didn't even mention that as one of your defenses, sir, that they're not your charges. I just want to see what kind of things were purchased. What are all these overdrafts from credit card or online? What is this?
That's the credit card is an overdraft protection, or it's like basically a credit card with a joint checking account.
So you would go and get cash out of this? You would
not
put your
necessarily
money
saying.
into the account?
It was both of ours, Your Honor. The joint checking account. She had the card for that same account too.
Actually, I didn't use anything in the card because he had actually convinced me after I had took his debit card. Because see, the problem was is that
There's
he
no way
thinks
to prove
the
it
debit
that they're
card is just, it says Visa, so he thinks it's just a credit card. So what I did was I said, okay, I'm going to get myself a primary checking account. He could not even get a checking account. So I left my name as the primary on this checking account, and I had direct deposits and paid all the bills out of my account.
So how many accounts did you have?
I had 2 accounts, but I did nothing with that account. I said, you know what, you prove to me that you're responsible, and you take care of this checking account. And look what happens. $5,000 later, I've got
There might be hers too, Your Honor.
nothing.
There's a joint checking account. They're both.
It might be.
They're not mine. I mean, it's a joint checking account. There's no way they're not. She could be having some of the charges on there too, because she had access to it too.
Mr. Curtis, that's possible, sir. Did you have any other checking account at the time that you had this one?
No, Your Honor.
Did you deposit your check any place other than in this account?
No, Your Honor.
Did she deposit her check, or paycheck, in this account?
She did, and then she did on her other one too.
No,
No. Well, I'm going to let you look at these things, and you show me where she deposited her check in this account. Okay? I see yours.
I don't even see any deposits in here.
You used this account for a year, sir. Is that right?
We both did, Your Honor.
No, you say you both did. That's not what you say in your answer, sir. I read your answer very carefully. Your answer is twofold. Your answer says, A, she ran over your foot, and B, she forgave the money. Nowhere in your answer did you say that there's no way of establishing how much is her money and how much is mine. And why would she maintain a second checking account that would just be confusing? That would be illogical.
Yes, Your Honor.
So all I have to determine is, Mr. Curtis, is whether, in addition to being foolish and giving you an account in which she was also responsible, whether she also was foolish enough to say in actuality, I'm going to forgive this $5,000 as long as you make payments on the truck.
I didn't care. I just wanted to be done. Didn't want to deal with her
You
anymore.
wanted to be done. You paid
And
her
all
what
of a sudden I
you
get a deputy sheriff at my workplace handing me papers saying she's serving me in court.
Well, then you should have paid what you owed her. You deposited your check, you drew money out, you drew out more money than you deposited, building up a balance of well over $5,000. There is no reason in the world, there is no consideration for her really excusing this debt because you are under an obligation to pay for the truck loan anyway. You still have the truck, don't you?
Yes, the truck is in her name and my name. The checking account was in her name, and the credit card was in her name.
I understand that, but she has 2 accounts, sir. One you used and one she used. Miss Bellman, how old are you?
28. I know. I've been through it. I know.
How many times?
2 years.
No, not only with him. Have you ever done it before?
No, never.
Will you ever do it again?
Never.
Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $5,000. That's all.
Parties are excused. West. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Gentlemen, have seats, please.
All right, the facts in this case are relatively simple. What is your first name?
My name is Kira Bruce.
Kira, you are 17 years old.
Yes.
Decided you wanted a tattoo.
Correct.
You went to the defendant's tattoo parlor.
Sure. That's acceptable.
And presented him with a fake ID and got your tattoo.
Yes.
Then you came home and your mother had a Shrek. You know what a Shrek is? She had a fit.
Good. I thought that was a movie.
Well, somebody took the word and made a movie out of it. But she had a fit. And you and your mother are suing the defendant because your mother believes that he should pay for at least half of the cost of removing the tattoo. Is that what this case is about?
That's exactly what it's about.
Easy. I have a few questions. When did you get the tattoo, Kira?
The beginning of October.
Had you ever had a tattoo before?
I had started one a few days before I got the one at Body Bazaar, yes.
You mean you started one but didn't finish it?
Correct.
At a different tattoo parlor?
Correct.
Why didn't you finish it?
I was nervous and I just kind of got up and paid him and left.
So the beginning of October you got this tattoo. What does it say? What is it?
It's my last name. It's
Bruce?
Yes. And then
You don't have a boyfriend named Bruce?
No.
Yeah, she told us.
We don't shout out in court. Now, when you went in, did you go in alone? Were you with someone else?
I was alone.
And you saw the defendant?
Oh, I never met Dave West until it all came back with my parents.
Okay. You saw somebody else who worked in the shop?
Yes.
Is that person in court today?
Yes.
Which one? Raise your hand.
Both of them?
You. Were you the one who did the work?
Yep, did the verse tattoo on her, yes.
Okay, could you step up, please? Tell me your name.
Kevin Augustine. How you doing?
Don't ask me questions. I
Kevin
ask questions.
Augustine.
Augustine.
Yes.
Now, Mr. Augustine, when Kira came into the shop, did you ask her for identification?
Yeah, that's normal procedure.
What did you say to her?
They give us California driver's license and then fill out a consent form.
Do you have her form?
Yeah, we do.
May I have it, please?
There's 2 separate ones for the 2 different dates that she came in.
She came in on 2 dates.
2 different occasions.
So you didn't finish on the first date and she came back?
No, she started the tattoo at a tattoo studio a few doors down. Then she came to us and got the tattoo she had started at the other studio. She
Finished.
got colored in. Then about a
came
month,
back for
maybe
the
about a
second
month
one.
later, she came back in, brought the same ID, presented her ID, and got a whole nother separate tattoo.
Okay. Do you have the driver's license that you presented to the defendants when you
It
got
was not
this
a
tattoo?
driver's license, it was a California ID.
California ID.
Yes, we do have that, and if you'll note, the height, the weight, and the face don't match my daughter. Also, on the consent form that she signed, the person going in actually fills out the information. On the first copy of October 1st, her date of birth is listed as 8/19/01. On the consent form dated October 3rd, it's 9/18/83.
Oh, okay.
So,
not very hard. Now, she came home to see you, and she showed you the tattoo?
No, she didn't. Actually, I had been in Southern California for 9 weeks caring for my father, who just recently passed away.
Who was staying with her?
Her father and her brother. But when I returned home, my house was a shambles, teenagers and a dad that eats pizza. So I happened to stroll through her room, and I looked down on the floor, and I saw a letter. It was folded, and I picked it up, and it said, "I love my tattoo," a little heart. So I thought I better read the rest of this letter. And I said, "Dear James, sorry. I hope you're not mad at me for getting another tattoo." And then I ricocheted off of the walls. And so when I picked her up from dance that evening, I confronted her about it, and she showed me these tattoos. Then after that, we went to visit the tattoo parlors.
Miss Bruce, I'm going to stop you there. When are you going to be 18, Kara?
September 3rd.
Not so far away. Do you still like your tattoos?
Yes, I do.
Now, your mother wants you to have them removed. Is that a painful procedure?
Yes.
Look, she got these false IDs. I'm not going to even ask her where she got these IDs from. She presented them. She doesn't look as if she's 12 years old. She certainly looks as if she could be over the age of 18. And as long as she acknowledges, and I have certainly here in writing, she signed giving her consent, indicating, swearing to the fact that she was over the age of 18. Sometimes people, when they write their date of birth, transpose the current year, 01, for their actual date of birth. The answer is yes. So they did what they were supposed to do. The only one who didn't do what they were supposed to do was your daughter.
Okay.
Your daughter. And your daughter is 17. In less than a year, she's going to be 18. She's going to be of the age of majority. Why wouldn't you, instead of bringing this lawsuit against the defendants, say to your daughter, you have to accept responsibility for what you did. You either got or passed off a fake ID. You knew that you weren't supposed to do this. This is something that in our house, in any event, we would oppose, and you did it anyway. And you did it in a sneaky fashion. Now you've got these tattoos. If you want to have them removed, get a job, pay for them to have them removed when you're 18. We're not talking about a 6-year-old child. We're talking about someone who is 7 or 8 months away from being a legal adult. Why do you think that these people are responsible?
It was my understanding that she did not show an ID to Kevin, that the only person who saw her ID at any time in this tattoo parlor was an apprentice by the name of Andrew or Dave.
Doesn't make any difference, Mrs. Bruce. Someone at the tattoo parlor said to her, "Can I see your ID?" She said, "Yes, here's my ID." Then they had her fill out a form. Now, the person who actually did the tattoo didn't have to recheck, just as if you go into a hospital and you're having surgery, you go into an admitting office. In the admitting office, you fill out all kinds of forms, including consent forms. When you're laying on the operating table, the surgeon doesn't say to you, "By the way, I'd like to see your identification and fill out some forms again." They're done before, so that when you go in for the procedure, it's all finished. All that paperwork is all finished. Your daughter did the wrong thing. Do I look like I need help from you?
No.
Then why are you raising your hand?
I just wanted to add something to it. I tattooed on her also. If you look at the...
Just a minute.
Okay.
I didn't say yes.
Okay. I apologize.
Do you understand? What I'm saying to you, wait 10 months, and if she wants to have the tattoo removed, she'll have it removed. Don't be mad at them. You gotta be mad at her.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Irene Bruce says Dave West owes for removing a tattoo from her 17-year-old daughter, Kira. Dave says Kira used a fake ID.
Okay. You got to put the blame where it belongs. The blame belongs with your daughter. If she had gone into that tattoo parlor and nobody said to her, let me see your ID, I say, you got a case. But they asked for her ID. She had a fake ID.
That looks nothing like her, I'm sorry.
I want to tell you something. I like to look at my driver's license and say it looks nothing like me, too. I look at my passport and I say, who is this person?
Right.
All right? So.
But she is neither 5'3" or 100 pounds. And if
I lie on my passport, I lied on my driver's license. I've been 100 pounds now since I was 8 years old. It doesn't make any difference.
Okay.
It's her responsibility. You can't transfer that to them.
Okay.
But if she wants to take it off, let her get a job.
Okay.
Let her pay for it.
She does. Okay. The other thing, when I visited the tattoo parlor, I spoke with Kevin. We called Dave, who said if he was going to have to pay to have this tattoo removed, that he wanted the sheriff called and my daughter arrested. I did call the sheriff from the studio. There were 3 officers that were present. They did state that it was a civil matter and that we needed to resolve it between us.
Because you wanted your daughter arrested.
Don't speak to her. Look at me.
So I can't abide lies when you present it in front of me, ma'am.
Don't
Thank
speak.
you.
I can't abide speaking out. Go ahead.
I did tell the officer that if they needed to arrest her, she needed to be responsible for her actions, and whatever their decision was, she would have to live with it. But they advised us to work it out in an amicable way. So Dave West did sign an agreement to pay half of the cost of the removal of the tattoos that were put on her body by Body
Let me see it.
Bazaar. He also requested that I obtain an estimate for the cost of the removal of the tattoos.
Just a minute.
Which I did.
You signed this on October 27th that you would help pay half the cost of removal of her tattoos? Sir, this is your
Yes,
handwriting?
basically I signed. I was forced into signing it. There's 3 cop cars in my driveway blocking my driveway to my business. She said basically that she wasn't going to leave until I signed a piece of paper saying that I would help her pay for it. I got people trying to pull in my driveway. They can't come in. I'm losing business.
Listen to me, sir. All you do is go outside and say to the police, I have asked this woman to leave my shop. She refuses to leave my shop. She is now trespassing. Have her removed.
I wasn't aware of that. I did.
Well,
I was under a lot of stress. I had 3 cops at my business.
You may have been a lot of other stress,
I had
but
an
you
angry
signed
mother
this.
forcing me. I was
you
being
signed
under
this piece of paper.
I sure did, under duress. I was basically forced into it. I was under a lot of stress. I had cops at my business.
Mr. West, ignorance of the law is no excuse. I would dismiss the case. I'm telling you right now, this case would be over. I don't believe it's your responsibility. But you agreed to not pay half. It says, I, Dave West, will help pay half of the cost of removal of the tattoos. He doesn't say he's going to pay half. He says he'll help pay half. Mm-hmm. Now, that may be semantics, but since I feel as if it's so unjust for him to pay everything, or even half, I'm going to interpret what he says based upon the exact letter of this note, which says I will help pay half. And the total amount is a couple of $1,000. Half of that would be $1,000. So he's going to help pay half of the $1,000. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $100. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Your responsibility. Deal with it.
I still feel that he's responsible for accepting an identification that did not look anything like her.
She basically committed a crime. We were victims of it.
I wanted the tattoos.
We were a professional operation.
The tattoo should be removed.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Robinson versus Coleman. Step forward, please.
42-year-old nurse Torresanto Robinson is suing his ex-girlfriend, 43-year-old waitress Carolyn Coleman, for unpaid credit card charges and a gas bill. Carolyn says Torresanto has already been paid.
Mr. Robinson, you claim loans to the defendant.
Yes, I
She
do.
says you've been paid. How do you know her?
I met Mrs. Coleman back around 97, 98. We became friends. We dated a while, and she had an excellent job. I had excellent credit. She asked me to help her out with some utility things, which I put a lot of things in my name. As time went on, she took care of everything, the credit card, the utilities.
What credit card? I didn't hear credit card.
Yes, I got her a credit card also.
Why'd you get her a credit card for?
I mean, she was a good friend, and I trusted her, and she swore she would take care of the bill, no problem, and she did for a while.
And?
And as time went on, we decided to do other things in life, and she bought a house further away from me, and I could let the card be shipped to her home.
You let the card?
Yes, I had the address changed where it would be mailed to her home. She continued to pay for a while. Then as of June of this year, creditors started calling me. And around May of this year, I purchased another home for myself, and I found out that it was some utility bill that was unpaid. I went back to her and notified her of this. She took care of them all but one.
Which one didn't she take care of?
She did not take care of the gas bill.
How much is the gas bill?
It's 105.
So the gas bill is 105 that she didn't take care.
105.17, I'm sorry.
I have a difficult time enough with math. Don't talk to me about 17 cents. 105 is the gas bill. And what about the credit cards?
The credit card bill was $1,052.71.
And you never used this card?
No, I did not.
Okay. Let me see it.
Sure. If you can see, one of the statements, it had her address on it showing that the bill was going to her, and the other one had my address because I had to call them or have it sent back to me what I know what wasn't paid.
Okay, but during all the time she had this particular credit card, the bill was sent to her?
Yes. Not in the beginning, it was coming to me. After she moved to about 130-some miles away from me, that's when we sit down and decide, okay, we'll let the bill come to her.
And when did she move? When did you move?
I moved March of 2000.
So after March of 2000, the bills were coming to you directly on the credit card? That's easy enough to figure out. All I have to do is call the credit card company, madam.
I had the bills. I called the credit card company and had them come because he was getting all the bills, and I didn't know what was being on there or nothing.
So the bills were coming to you? All right. So, gas bill 105, credit card bill $1,052. Let me hear.
Okay, Your Honor, I can't believe he's doing this to me, but anyway, I paid him the money for the bills that he claimed that I didn't owe. I gave him an $800 check, and he was supposed to have paid those bills.
When?
On March the 2nd.
Judge, the $800 she gave me, that was after I tried to purchase my home, that was a Comcast cable bill that the finance company would not accept my loan for the simple fact that I had an outstanding bill for $800-some for a cable bill. I turned around, called her and told her, I cannot get a loan for my house because they got this against me. She gave me $800. I went up there and I paid Comcast cable that amount.
No.
That was
Are
the
you chewing
bill.
gum?
I'm sorry.
Miss Coleman?
Yes.
You used this credit card, madam. You continued to use this credit card after March of 2000.
No, ma'am.
Let me see the bills after March of 2000.
I have, from the day one I gave him, this is all bills. And if she had a good job, she traveled. You look and see, you can see them all over the place.
Just one second. I just want to look after March of 2000.
I did not use the card after March.
What?
I did not use that card in March.
I said after March of 2000.
Okay, excuse me.
You want to change your answer now? No. Did you use the card after March of 2000?
No, ma'am.
I never made one purchase on that card. Not one.
What's an action draft payment? Anybody know?
I guess it was through her bank. Yes, I'm pretty sure because she did tell me once that the bank was automatically taking it out. The credit card was automatically coming from her checking account.
Well, that was done in April. That's after March. What's Sweet Sue?
Never heard of a Sweet Sue.
Is your new address 71?
Yes, ma'am.
So this bill was sent to you, showing what the balance was on the account in April, in May, and then the balances kept growing and growing because of finance charges, and you kept receiving these bills at your new address. What did you do with them when you got them?
I rarely check the mail, so my daughter might have gotten them and put them away because she does that.
That's a lot of baloney, Miss Coleman.
Oh, no, that's the truth.
No, that's a lot of baloney, Miss Coleman. Miss Coleman, you are clearly responsible for this. The fact that your daughter put away your mail and you didn't look for it, then you're responsible for it. But don't give me a lot of baloney that you never saw these bills.
No, I didn't.
Maybe one you could miss. March, April, May, June. This is a July bill, and you just ignored it. Why did you think you could get away with this?
I wasn't trying to get away with anything.
Sure you were.
After all the thousands of dollars to him that I paid to him over the couple of years that we was together, that was...
Wait a second. Because that's what you say in your answer.
Yes.
You say in your answer, I bought him a lot of jewelry and clothes and a lot of other things in the time that we were together.
Yes.
I more than paid him back. Now you're telling me that you bought him enough things and you just chose to ignore these bills because they were on his credit card. I would like to know what your defense is.
Well, my defense is that I gave him money to pay on the bills that he claimed that I owe him.
Okay, well, that defense is clearly non-existent because if you gave him money of March of 2000, you owed a lot more money on these cards. They kept building up and building up and building up. Your daughter threw away the bill, she hid the bill, you didn't see the bill. You bought him a lot of stuff when you were together.
Yeah.
Which one is it?
All of the above.
Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount requested, $1,111. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out. Case number 28 on the calendar in the matter of Hamilton versus Hamilton. You're welcome, Judge. Parties have been sworn in, Your Honor. You may be seated, sir. Have a seat, please.
Mrs. Hamilton, this is your stepson. Is this your husband?
Yes.
Oh, a little background. I gather from your complaint and your answer that you were divorced.
Yes, ma'am.
From his mother. You can step up here, sir. And for most of his life, you'd had very little contact.
That's correct.
More recently, you contacted him or you contacted your father. Which way?
I contacted him.
Son contacted you, and you began to build a relationship. Now, Jason has had a troubled adolescence. Is that a fair statement, Jason?
Yeah.
And it is your claim, Mrs. Hamilton, that your funds were used to help Jason out when he got us into some trouble with the law.
Yes.
For an attorney, for restitution payments, and at that time he was in fact living with you.
Yes.
To live with you. Jason says that the lawyer was your idea. He was perfectly happy with the public defender, and that the restitution he has paid for by working it off while he was living with you.
Yeah.
So I'm going to start with you, Jason. How old are you?
22.
What were you in trouble for, Jason?
Aggravated harassment and stalking in the fourth from my ex-girlfriend.
Okay, so let me hear about the first loan that you claim for his lawyer.
When we bailed Jason out on September 18th of last year, Jason was not happy with his public defender at all. He verbalized this to both my husband and myself.
What did he say?
He said he didn't feel that he was going to fight for him. He felt that the public defender just wanted him to plea out to anything and get the case over and done with as quickly as possible. And Jason did not want to do that. He wanted to fight it. He didn't want to be charged, and he didn't want to violate his parole from his previous court case and actions on that.
What were you on parole for, Jason?
Arson.
What burned down, Jason?
Garage.
Go ahead.
On his first court date after he was bailed out, we went and got him an attorney.
Who's we?
My husband and I.
Go ahead.
After that, as far as with the restitution, initially he had to live with us as part of us bailing him out. And when we decided we were moving out of the area, he was given the option to move with us or stay in the area, and we would figure something out and work it out. He decided that he did want to move with us. So my husband and I paid that restitution from his previous case in order to free it up.
Case?
Yes.
Okay.
And then the other part of the restitution was for the current case. After everything was settled, there was $100 restitution.
So he
for
pled
that.
guilty. You pled guilty in the current case involving your ex-girlfriend.
Right. I couldn't afford the lawyer anymore, so I had no choice. And I can't...
Were you at that time that the matter was scheduled for trial still living with your father and stepmother?
No.
Did you ever pay the lawyer any money?
No.
So it was just a $1,000 retainer that you paid the lawyer?
Correct.
Yes.
That was after Jason moved out, after
Correct.
you had the altercation in your house with him?
Yes.
Mrs. Hamilton, so far I haven't heard anything about a loan.
Before Jason was bailed out, on the phone conversations, he was informed that anything that was pertaining to this legal case was a loan and was to be paid back. That was one of the conditions of him being bailed out. Jason made comments about how he was not like his sister, who also we had a problem with before that. He was not like his sister, and he would pay us back that money. That was said numerous times, and at the end of Jason's stay in our house, because everything was a loan, I had him sign a promissory note.
Well, I know Jason says that note, you sort of forced him to sign the note because you said you were going to have his bail revoked if he didn't sign the note.
That was not
Jason,
how it was
well, I'm going to
worded.
turn over to you now, Jason.
When I was on the phone with them before I was bailed out, I was not told that it was a loan.
I'm sorry, that's wrong.
I moved in with them. I did not know I was going to move in with them. I thought they were going to bail me out, take me home. But instead they brought me to their place, worked for them. My work would be to pay off whatever I did.
Well, what kind of work did you do, Jason?
I helped him their construction business.
What did you do?
Labor. It was, unload the truck, load the truck, help my father you know, stuff like that. As far as me with my restitution, like I said, I never asked for the money. I never asked for any of it. I just simply said, when they went to pay it, I said, you know, you don't have to do that. They said, oh, no, don't worry about it. I said,
No,
okay.
that's not what parents say, Jason. They don't use the word, oh, don't worry about it. They might have said, when you get yourself together, we hope you'll pay us back. Does that sound right? Huh?
Yes, yes.
That sounds right. You know, life is so simple, Mrs. Hamilton. That's what parents say, even if they have an ongoing relationship with their children, if money is tight in a household. You don't say, well, this is a loan, and you will pay me back so much each month on this loan.
Your Honor, at the beginning, he did agree. Before I bailed him out, I told him, if I bail you out, you've got to pay this money back in a timely fashion, and you've got to get your act together, because the lifestyle he was living is totally, I'm afraid he's going to end up in jail for the rest of his life.
Where's your mother?
She's back in Buffalo.
Did you live with her all your life?
Yes.
Are you still in touch with her?
I live with her right now.
You have a sister?
Yes, I do.
How old's your sister?
19.
She in trouble?
No.
What kind of trouble?
Well, when we had her with us, she steals, she lies,
She's never been to jail, but she is a very emotionally troubled person, and she's been in and out of, she was in a group home at one point.
Jason, tell me about the conversation you had with your father about the lawyer, about the public defender.
I was going to get a new PD to begin with, because the guy that was representing me, he just didn't know what he was talking about. He had no clue.
What do you mean? Just a second. What do you mean you were going to get a new PD, public defender? You think that they give them out if you don't like one, you get a chance to get another one?
Well, that's what they were going to do. When I got
you live in a very good jurisdiction. If a criminal defendant came before me and said, I don't like that lawyer, I want to get another lawyer, you know what I would say to them? Go hire your own lawyer. You want to pick and choose? Go hire your own lawyer. This is the public defender for the day. You don't like this one? Get some money and go hire your own lawyer. You know, this is not one from column A and one from column B. You get one chance. Do you understand, Jason?
Yeah, I understand.
Good. Are you working now?
Yes, I am.
What kind of work are you doing?
I'm a barback at a banquet hall.
Hope this New York State Liquor Authority doesn't know about that. Is this arson conviction that you have a felony arson?
Yes.
Woo-hoo! Hope they don't value their liquor license. Listen to me, Jason. I want you to listen to me very carefully. I am not so concerned about the $1,000 that your stepmother and stepfather put up for the lawyer. I think they're going to have to tolerate that, because I think that that's what parents do if they're afraid that their child is going to be confined. And I'm not so sure that that was a loan. But I'm concerned about the restitution, Jason, because what possible value is it to your moral compass if somebody else pays your restitution? Restitution is what you're supposed to pay, right?
I understand that. I was paying it.
How? I don't understand how you
I
were
was
paying.
working
with money I
beforehand.
gave him.
Just a second.
Not just money you gave me. I was doing odd jobs here and there.
Well, you paid some of it, but they paid the
I
rest.
was paying on
Just
it.
a second. But they paid the rest. Well, paying the rest, it doesn't teach you any kind of a lesson. That's your responsibility. That's not your father's responsibility. That's not your stepmother's responsibility. That's your responsibility. The criminal justice system doesn't want to see. What do you do for a living?
I'm a real estate investor.
Doesn't want to see this lady who works. What do you do for a living?
I'm an investor also.
I don't know what that means, but life is too short.
Buy real estate.
They don't want to see their money going to pay your restitution. They didn't set fire to the garage and they didn't stalk your girlfriend.
I didn't either.
Well, then you lied to the court, sir, when you pled guilty.
I didn't know, what am I going to do if I ain't got money?
You know what innocent people do? They go to trial.
You have
just a second, Jason. You're 22 years old. Is that what
Yes.
you told me before? How many times have you been arrested? Think. I'm going to give you 5 minutes. How many times have you been arrested?
13 times.
13. Shh. Come on. 13 times. 22 years old. And how many convictions do you have, Jason?
I have 4 convictions.
I have 5 children. How many kids you got?
4.
9 children altogether. Not one arrest.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. And later today,
Miss Knapp, someone tried to kill me with a car. I wouldn't get into bed with them for a deductible or anything else.
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Nicole Han Hamilton says her stepson, Jason Hamilton, owes for loans to retain an attorney and to pay restitution. Nicole says Jason has been arrested for arson and stalking.
You've been arrested 13 times. That cannot all be a mistake. The 4 times that you were convicted is not a mistake. The last 2 times that you pled guilty, I mean, you know the system, evidently. You're smart enough to know the system, that if you want a new PD, all you got to do is stamp your feet around, say, I'm not getting good representation. What you're supposed to do is not do things that get you into any trouble. Do you understand?
I know that.
Okay. And if you didn't learn the first time, and if you didn't learn the second time, the 10th time, you should have learned. By the time you got to the 12th time, it should have been bells go off in your head. Now you're at unlucky 13. Jason, you're 22 years old. You want to die?
No.
You don't care?
No, I care. I'm working now. I'm going for my GED. I have my life on track.
Good.
That's
then
what
pay
I was...
your restitution. The lawyer, it's
That's
yours.
fine. I
He's
just
gonna,
wanted him to learn a lesson.
He's
about
going to pay his
responsibility.
restitution. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $695. That's all.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
I look at them as just white trash. What are they going to do? Sue their own son when he hits 18 for all the stuff that they paid for him?
As people can see, he is a punk. He'll always be a punk. I wash my hands with him. I got a beautiful 14-month-old son. I'm doing it right this time.
Smoking pot. I'm in probation. I don't want to get involved in no pot.
He's the one that smokes the pot, and I told him I didn't want it in my house.
I don't have a father. That's the way I look at it.
I'm here to guide you and show you the proper way. If you don't want to do that, I'm done.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Knapp versus Wheeler. Step forward.
Delivery truck driver Barbara Knapp is suing her ex-boyfriend, steelworker Claude Wheeler, for purposely driving her van into a ditch. Claude claims he swerved to miss a deer.
Ms. Knapp, it is your claim that Mr. Wheeler, who used to be your boyfriend, wrecked your car.
Correct.
And in addition to the damages to the car, you want some money for pain and suffering. I don't know what pain and suffering you want. You'll, I'm sure, explain it to me. Tell me about the day of the incident.
Okay, on December 28th, I do believe, we went grocery shopping, stopped at a bar and had a few drinks and was coming home and...
Okay, what time did you get to the bar?
8 o'clock.
8 p.m.?
8 p.m.
And how long did you stay at the bar?
Oh, possibly an hour maybe. No, not that long, because we had groceries in the car, so about an hour then, say.
Is that right, sir?
Correct.
Okay, you stopped at a bar, groceries in the car, went home, on your way back to the grocery.
On our way back home, and we were discussing just things, and an old boyfriend was brought up because he was apparently came into the bar, and I had made his comment that he's still loving my life, and he didn't like it, so I don't know what was said, but then he swatted me upside the head, in the back of the head, and then I had told him that that was it and it was over, and he proceeded to say, oh, I'll show you that, and he drove my car down into the ditch. The next thing you know, a pole's coming, and we were headed straight for the pole, and he turned it just enough to go past the pole, but in the meantime, we kind of got wedged into the ditch and had to go out the windows to get out, and then I was just kind of in shock, I do believe, and that was that.
Well, we were driving home that night. I had a few drinks, and we were arguing, and I was looking at her.
Try looking at me.
I don't recall slapping her upside the head or striking her. We were arguing, and I was looking at her, and when I turned my eyes back to the road, there were deer in the road, and I swerved to the right to miss the deer, and as soon as we got to the edge of the road, the snow sucked us into the ditch. I didn't do it intentionally.
Don't remember the deer?
There was no deer. He did it on purpose.
And you issued a report?
Mm-hmm.
You have a copy of that report?
Yes, I do.
I'd like to see it, please.
That is the traffic report. Okay.
Shh. You have any other police reports?
No, I went to the Troopers Barracks to try to get the actual report from my statement and his statement, but apparently they do not let that out. They don't.
Your Honor, I have a signed statement of her from the night of the accident.
Can I see it, please? That's what I'm looking for. Well, you did sign a statement on the 28th of December, Ms. Knapp. You didn't say anything about him purposely damaging your car. You say at about 2 or 3 o'clock, my boyfriend was at my house. He had a margarita, which was left over from last night. At about 7 o'clock, we went grocery shopping at Wegmans and then went to Jit's Bar for a couple of beers and pool. He had 2 or 3 beers there. Then we started home. Claude was driving. I wasn't paying attention, and all of a sudden, we were going towards the ditch. I didn't see if there was a deer, just that he was going towards the ditch. You didn't tell the police that he tried to kill both of you?
No, I did not.
Why not?
I just was still in shock from all of it, and I just didn't. I just was going to go with the story with the deer because I just was in shock because that's what he wanted me to say, and I just didn't.
What happened?
Notice, Penal Law Section 210.45, in a written instrument, any person who knowingly makes a false statement which such person does not believe to be true has committed a crime under the laws of the state of New York and is punishable by a Class A misdemeanor. And that's what you signed.
Mm-hmm.
Is there any reason why you think, Ms. Knapp, that I should believe you now? Ms. Knapp, I have a couple more questions for you. When did you and the defendant separate?
It was,
around the 1st of February.
So between December 28th and the 1st of February, you still lived together?
No, we did not live together.
We just dated.
And you dated the same way that you were dated before?
Pretty much.
It wasn't not in my eyes, because it was over in my eyes, and I just wanted to get a deductible from him, so I kind of...
Which I did pay. I paid the $500 deductible.
Yes. But I figured if I broke up with him, I wouldn't have seen any money or nothing, so I kind of just had to hang in there to get my deductible. And
then a month and a half later, 2 months down the road, she's after for this $5,000.
That's not going to happen.
Thank you.
Ms. Knapp, if someone tried to kill me with a car, I wouldn't get into bed with them for a deductible or anything else. And if you did, that's your problem. Bye. Case dismissed.
Parties are excused.
Các em thân mến, cô trò chúng ta lại gặp nhau trong video mới ngày hôm nay rồi. Và hôm nay cô sẽ ôn lại cho các em về một bài toán về dãy số. Ở đây là họ yêu cầu phải tính tổng của 80 số hàng đầu tiên của dãy 2, 4, 6, 80 chấm cho đến số hàng thứ 80. Vậy thì ở đây chúng ta sẽ phải tìm số hàng thứ 80 là bao nhiêu, đúng không? Ở đây có nghĩa là chúng ta sẽ phải tìm số hàng thứ 80 bằng bao nhiêu. Ở đây chúng ta sẽ thấy này, có 80 số hàng. Vậy thì khoảng cách ở đây sẽ là có 79 khoảng cách. Và đúng ạ, số khoảng cách và khoảng cách ở đây sẽ là 2 đơn vị, đúng không nào? 2, 4, 6, 8, 2. Đúng không? Đây là dãy số chẵn và khoảng cách là 2. Và có 80 số hàng. Số hàng thứ 80 chứng tỏ là có 80 số hàng. Vậy thì số khoảng cách sẽ là 79. Vậy thì ở đây chúng ta sẽ tính được số hàng thứ 80 sẽ bằng, đúng không ạ? Số hàng thứ 80 ở đây sẽ là bằng số khoảng cách là 79. Chúng ta nhân cho khoảng cách là 2 đơn vị sẽ bằng 158. Vậy thì dãy số ở đây sẽ là 2, 4, 6, 8 chấm cho đến 158. Ở đây chúng ta sẽ tính được tổng của dãy. Tổng của dãy sẽ bằng số lớn nhất cộng số bé nhất, đúng không nào? Chúng ta nhân cho số hàng và chia 2. Số hàng ở đây các em biết là số hàng chính là 80, đúng không nào? Vậy thì chúng ta sẽ điền số vào 158. Cộng số bé nhất là 2. Chúng ta nhân cho số hàng là 80 và chúng ta lại chia cho 2. Ở đây sẽ được là 160. 160 mà chia cho 2 là còn 80. 80 mà nhân cho 80 sẽ là 6.400. Đúng ạ. tổng của 80 số tự nhiên đầu tiên của dãy này chính là 6.400. Các em đã hiểu cái phần là số khoảng cách là 79 khoảng cách thế nào. Chúng ta có 80 số hàng, vậy thì chúng ta sẽ có số khoảng cách là 80 trừ 1, đúng không ạ? Chính là cái phần 80 trừ 1 sẽ bằng 79 khoảng cách ở đây. Và số khoảng cách của hai số sẽ là 2 đơn vị. Vậy thì chúng ta sẽ có số hàng. Tức là chúng ta sẽ tìm được số hàng thứ 80 sẽ là bằng số khoảng cách nhân cho khoảng cách sẽ được 158. Và kết quả là 6.400.